It's good to have you. Welcome to Friday on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. I do this together with my crew, serving you the finest morning show on television. Thank you for your company. Now, this morning, shortly, I'll be bringing you the news, bringing you all the info bits that you need to know. And right after that, we get into the news review. And one of my favorite people, Samuel Cojo, a colleague and a brother, will be joining me right here on set as we dissect the newspapers. But then from there, we get into our big stories. We'll be talking about Ghana's sporting industry. What a week it's been. We've had conversations on what government should pay attention to this year, from the economy to education to agriculture and more. Yesterday, we had conversations on illegal mining, anti-corruption, governance, security, etc. We're concluding our talk with a conversation on sports. And this morning, we have our guests joining the conversation. Charles Osei is Vice President, Ghana Athletics Association, President of the Ghana and Africa Arm Wrestling Federation. We're also joined by Abraham Kote Nikwe, President of the Ghana Boxing Authority, and Mauko Afajinu, who can forget him, Vice President, Ghana Olympic Committee, and President of the Ghana Table Tennis Federation. Also joining the conversation, Henry Asante Chum, Communications Director with the Ghana Football Association. But also on the show, we talk Esports. Yeah, fitting, especially as we're talking about sports. It's the Accra Esports Week, and it's Ghana's biggest esports experience, which brings video gamers, industry leaders, gaming communities, hubs, clubs, brands, retailers, and stakeholders together in one place. It is 1 week of video gaming exhibitions, demonstrations, seminars, workshops, and socialization. We've got details later on the show. And of course, definitely, I'll be sharing with you my blunt thoughts, the very first in 2023. Look forward to that. As always, though, we'd love to hear from you. So share your thoughts with us via the stream with the hashtag AM show. And when we activate the phone lines, call us and let's know what your thoughts are. And this morning, just to let you know, I'll be sharing my blunt thoughts on the subject or the topic, brand new year, but same old lame approach, repeating the sins of 2022. On that note, Ghana Force, stay with us. Up next, we'll serve you the news. Thanks for staying. Now, in our first story, Minister for Education, Dr. Yaw Osei Edichum, has directed the management of the University of Ghana to comply with the 15% increment in tertiary fees. Dr. Edichum's directive follows an engagement with all public universities on the tertiary fees brouhaha. The Education Ministry says its investigations proved that the University of Ghana was rather implementing a 37% increment of fees. Dr. Edichum says he's satisfied that some universities have complied with a 15% increment.
You've heard from University of Education, Winneba. You've also heard from our great university, University of Cape Coast, about steps that they have taken in cases where the fees were over 15%. They are doing refunds. They want to leave within the 15% as mandated by Parliament. So I'm very happy this morning. Thank you. No quota has been instituted other than the fact that schools are admitting based on their capacity. Because you know that prior to this year, last year, we have up to just level 300. Now we have level 400. Government has embarked on major infrastructure development, building new hostels. They are not completed yet. So if you allow the same number of students that were there from the previous year, they won't fit in the school. So that's why GTech work with the colleges to adjust so that they can accommodate all our students. That is what is happening. I'm surprised to hear about revocation because I know that they did not admit before GTech directive went to them. So I'm surprised there will be any revocation.
Well, government has given yet another assurance that it will clamp down on persons involved in the destruction of Ghana's water bodies and forests. Addressing the press after a meeting with the Chief of Defense Staff and the Military High Command, Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Cojo said new measures would be rolled out and made public soon.
The agenda of the meeting has been about how to effectively protect and preserve the lands and natural resources of our country. And I should use this opportunity once again to thank our distinguished Chief of Defense Staff and the Military High Command for the very impressive, excellent work they've been engaged in their support to government and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in our quest to preserve the lands and natural resources of our country. It would be remiss on my part if I did not give you a gist of what we resolved as it relates to illegal small-scale mining in Galamsey. The conclusions of our meeting, the fundamental conclusion of our meeting, is that we are going to sustain our efforts at coming to grips with this menace, this existential threat of illegal small-scale mining. And the Military High Command, under the leadership of the CDS, is committed to continue to pursue the measures which they've rolled out currently to make sure that we resolve the issue of illegal small-scale mining in our country. We've reviewed our strategy, we've tweaked the strategy, and I believe that the Military High Command will roll them out and make them public as and when they deem it fit. And matters of strategy, operational strategy and the rest, I think we'll leave that to them. But most important thing is that we are never going to relent. We're going to keep up with it. We're going to keep up with it, and we're going to sustain the momentum, that I can assure you. The nitty-gritties of it, as I say, I'll leave it to the Military High Command.
Well, Mr. Jinapor has also been responding to President Akufo-Addo's comments on Akonta mining. He says the president's statement does not absolve Akonta mining of culpability, as his outfit is working with a special prosecutor on the matter.
The president was responding to a request by the chairman of this Catholic Diocesan Priest Association Biennial Conference, Mr. Ken Ashigbe. Mr. Ashigbe, in his remarks, had appealed to the president, called on the president to speak to the issue of Akonta mining. And so the president sought to respond and assure the conference, and for that matter, the country. So the president's comments were actually an assurance to the conference and the country. And what was that assurance? The president said, as he spoke, and by that as at yesterday, Akonta mining was not engaged in any illegal mining activities in any forest reserve. And indeed, the president went further to assure the country that under his instructions, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Forestry Commission is actually cordoned off the 294 forest reserves in our country. He said that as well. You know, I mean, for some reason that is be taken out of the discourse. But the president gave a further assurance that not only is Akonta mining not engaged in illegal mining activity in any forest reserve, as he spoke yesterday, but additionally, he had put in place measures, his government had put in place measures to protect the 294 forest reserves of our country from attacks from illegal miners and illegal mining activities. So the president was not speaking about the wrongdoing or otherwise of Akonta mining in the past, the criminality or otherwise of Akonta mining in the past. He was not commenting on what happened in the past. He was giving an assurance of the state of affairs as at the time he was addressing the conference. And that is a statement of fact. And for me, I think that the president should be commended, the government should be commended, that we've gotten to a situation where we can confidently say that we are protecting the forest reserves of our country. That's essentially what the president said.
I mean, it'll be taken out of context?
Well, I'm not too sure about it's been taken out of context or not, because it's really plain. I mean, what he said is there's no ambiguity. There's no ambiguity. I mean, it will only take, with the greatest of respect, a mischievous person to pretend that there is some ambiguity in what the president said. And as I keep emphasizing, the president was given an assurance following some anxiety expressed by one of the speakers at the conference. And I want to repeat, the president was not speaking to the issues of Akonta mining as they happened in the past. The substantive issues of the conduct or otherwise of Akonta mining are before the Ghana Police Service and the Special Prosecutor. And the president was not speaking to that. The president was giving an assurance about the state of affairs as he spoke yesterday. How can it absorb?
Not interfere with any.
How can it? It cannot absolve them. Neither can it interfere with any investigations. Because, as I say, the president was not speaking out of context. The president was speaking in response to an anxiety which has been expressed by a speaker at the conference, and the president was assuring the conference and the country that the anxiety is, if you want, should not be entertained, because as he spoke, he can speak, he can say as president that Akonta Mining is not involved in any illegal mining activity in any forest reserve. The matters to do with Akonta Mining and its activities, its criminality or otherwise, wrongdoing otherwise, those are being handled by state institutions. As I say, the CID is investigating it. They've been collaborating with me and I've cooperated with them fully. The special prosecutor is also investigating it, and we are prepared to cooperate with the special prosecutor. That is not what the president was talking about.
Well, economist and lawyer David Ofosu-Dorte is advocating an upper limit beyond which government cannot impose taxes. According to him, government's penchant for imposing taxes is only rendering the citizens poorer when it is expected to rather make them prosperous. He says taxes such as the sanitation levy, the energy sector levy, and fiscal stabilization levy, among others, have not achieved their intended purposes. Mr. Dorte was speaking at a Constitution Day public lecture.
Energy fund levy. The energy sector owes more than it owed before this fund was introduced. Sanitation and pollution levy 2021. Its purpose was to levy to help address sanitation issues in the country. I'm not so sure whether sanitation issues have been resolved on your way here, but we are being levied for that. And I bet that if we were to speak to those in charge of sanitation, what they will tell you is that their problem is lack of funding. Then we have energy sector levy, which has become ESLA. 20 pesos per liter on petrol and diesel, 18 pesos on LPG. National Fiscal Stabilization Levy 2013, to levy taxes that are imposed on companies and institutions for fiscal stabilization. Is our fiscal regime stable? We all know the answer. It definitely is not stable. Tourism levy, to provide funding for tourism and tourism-related activities. 1% payable by a person of a tourism enterprise specified under the Act. So when you go to a restaurant, our tourism, you can make the judgment yourself. Road fund levy, it started, I think, initially at 10 pesos, went to 40, now 48 pesos. And it is support road maintenance. Again, you have the answer, whether the roads are being maintained. The point is, it sounds as if that Ghanaians have no right to earn net income or disposable income. And at any time we seem to be improving in our income, we must be levied with something that will enable us to take the levy and take the money and give it to persons that we queue to elect every 4 years so that they will make our lives better. And they end up making our lives worse. Now, individual corporate and corporate citizens cannot be said to be prospering if every money that they get is taken away from them. My first recommendation, Mr. Chairman, is that we ought to be thinking of an upper limit beyond which governments cannot tax us.
And the Member of Parliament for Gushegu, Hassan Tampuli, wants students in his constituency to learn harder to better their grades in the senior high school certificate examination. He said out of the over 700 students of the Gushegu Senior High School who sat last year's West African Senior School Certificate Examination, only one student passed, a situation he described as worrying. There's more in this report put together by Martina Bugri.
Parliament for Gushegu raised the concerns of poor performance at the West Africa Senior High School when he presented support to students in his constituency, second time running, in fulfillment of his campaign to support students with scholarship. A total of 130 students received cash prize between 800 and 1,000 cedis. The MP said there was the need to change the statistics being channeled from the northern region.
Again, WASSCE results have been released. Gushegu Senior High School. Do you know what we got? Do you know the percentage of those who passed? last time, out of 700 and so students, only one person or two people passed. Only one person, no, one person passed. You people are coming from the same schools. No. So how is it that our other siblings, brothers and sisters are failing throughout? Our parents cannot even afford at all. But this, like I said, is not supposed to take the entire fees, but to let you know that the Member of Parliament for Bushegu, Honorable Al-Hassan Tampule Sulemana, has become one of your parents.
Mr. Tampule also cut short for the commencement of work on the Zinundo to Yolgu Road. He said it will open the place out for economic activities.
This road has economic significance for the good people of the constituency, and in particular the people of Zinundo in the Bushegu constituency and Yolgu in the Nanton constituency. They are neighboring communities, but for administrative boundaries, they are separated by districts. But we are one and the same people, and it's going to create a direct link to the farms of the people. More of the farms are in those areas for both communities, and there is a very big bridge over there that became a stumbling block for us to be able to reach our farms. Today, that is likely to be a thing of the past, because it's going to open up the farming area and it's going to open up trade between the two districts, the two administrations of Nanton and the Bushegu municipality. It's also going to serve as an avenue for the also additional utilization of the Zinundo Health Center by the good people of Yolgu, and another avenue for referrals.
Some of the beneficiaries spoke to JoyNews.
I'm very grateful for this. It will go a long way for me because it will support me to buy something for the school. Even if the amount that they give me didn't pay my fees, but it will go a long way. My mother is the one who is taking care of me. My father is no more. So with this, it will support my mother to pay my fees and other things.
We are very grateful for this support. And I think this support will help us a lot as a student. Some of us, we find it very difficult to pay our school fees when it comes to this time, because this constituency is a farming constituency. We are all into farming, and when you look at this year, the farming we didn't get, the farm product didn't do well, so our parents find it difficult to get money to pay our school fees.
That is how we cap off the news this morning. But stay with us. Shortly, we'll bring you the news review. I'll be joined by Samuel Cojo. We'll be right back. Well, thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to dig into the papers. The few that have come. It's the holiday season still, and some of the papers are on a diet. You can feel, yeah. But I'm joined by Samuel Cojo, my partner in good things, everything good. There are only a few things, but I know they're main. Charlie, Happy New Year.
Prosperous 2023 to you, Ben.
First time you're joining me on the AM show in 2023.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. It's good to have you on.
It's full of blessings. I mean, 2023 will be a good year. I hear people say it will be tough. Yeah, but sometimes you say, well, generally it will be tough. But for me, my economy will be so good.
We pray for that. We pray for that exactly. You know, these are times when we have to be optimistic as a people. Sometimes you're faced with a situation, you're in a cul-de-sac, dead end. You're facing a brick wall. But you know that giving up is not an option, because giving up basically means you do nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So faced with doing nothing or doing something, even in the face of the worst situation,
you do something.
You do something.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that we do that as a people collectively, that we have that mindset that, look, we're in dire straits, we're on the ropes, but let's do something. How many times haven't we seen boxers, pugilists in the boxing ring, beaten a lot, and da. It reminds me actually of one of Muhammad Ali's classics against George Foreman.
Okay.
Remember? Yeah.
Almost.
And everything, if I'm not mistaken, was that not the Thriller in...
No, the Thriller in Manila was
that Pacquiao?
Oh, no, Pacquiao is just a...
No, there was another, Manila in the Philippines. There was another...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the Thriller in Manila
Or was that the Rumble? The Rumble in the Jungle. That was the one in Zaire, right?
The Zaire
The old Zaire
Yeah,
one.
that was the first one you mentioned.
George Foreman?
No. The title of the bout itself.
Thriller in Manila.
Thriller in Manila.
Right.
Or that's different. Okay, I mean, it could be the Rumble in the jungle.
I'm a little. I mean, the history is all in there.
Yeah.
But I think that was when they fought in Zaire. Okay. I've seen videos of that. But the point I want to make is, Foreman was in form. Forget the play on words. Foreman was in form, and he really did damage. But he didn't expect that a certain Muhammad Ali would be that tough and go the entire way and knock him out at the end.
That's
so...
I remember Robert Kelly's song, which says that when my backs are against the ropes, tell the world I'm the world's greatest.
Yeah.
Because when I know that when my backs are against the rope, I'll bounce back.
Yeah.
And within the week, I was watching something between Foreman and Evander Holyfield. And Foreman almost defeated Holyfield, but just a blow took Foreman out of the competition, and Holyfield won. So, things may seem not too okay, not too all right. The future looks bleak, but sometimes we have to look at it and say that, but things will be all right with me.
We can hope against hope, but there's a but in there. While I want us to be this optimistic, we must also be practical.
Yeah.
In addition to the optimism, because you don't just say, "Oh, you know what? I have faith in God,"
without doing nothing. Even the Bible talks about
it's like James, faith without works.
Yeah.
But that one is a bit, because there's the Pauline faith.
Okay.
And James comes in with faith, but show me your works.
Exactly.
So it's a balance of the two. It's a balance of the two. And that's why I have a problem. And that's why this morning I've couched my first blunt thoughts. Brand new year, but same lame old approach. Repeating the sins of 2022.
Okay.
Because already I am seeing some writings on the wall. It's almost as though we never learned anything.
Well, I don't know how we do learn lessons. Sometimes we fail, but we don't learn anything from those lessons. And the same thing comes back to bite us very hard. So in 2023, I want us as a collective, as a country, to learn from our mistakes, from our sins, and to ensure that we are going forward with renewed strength and different approaches. Because as they say, you don't expect new results when you do the same old things.
Exactly.
You only get new results when you do things in a different way. So that's how this year should be. We should do things differently, and we'll be fine. But I've been reading a book which says that how to live without worries, and I think that the key I pick from it is don't focus too much on your worries. That's on an individual basis. Don't focus too much on your worries. Sometimes, Ben, some people do focus too much on their worries such that they forget the little blessings in their lives. And it's so practical that when you focus on the little blessings you have, for example, you are okay, you're not sick, your children are okay, you are able to eat, you have somewhere to lay your head. These blessings, when you look at them and say, well, I'm grateful for these blessings, I'm thankful to God, and you focus much on them, you see that doors open for you.
Yeah.
Than for you to focus on, oh, I've not eaten, I don't have money in my pocket, my car doesn't have fuel. Just the more
it's like the glass half full or half empty.
Yeah.
It depends on how you look at it. Yeah.
And
so someone will complain, oh, it's half empty, and the other person will say, you know what? It's actually half full.
Yeah.
And indeed, we have a lot to also thank God for. I mean, as a country, looking at what has transpired in the sub-region, it's just that there are some concerns, and it's a little tricky what Mr. President said recently about Burkina Faso. But we have escaped that scathing, terrorist scene. And that is why I always get concerned with what is happening in Boku. Because you remember, Alavanyo Nkonya, we used to have a lot of, for about 2 decades,
Yeah.
it's been pretty quiet. I feel we can
something.
do something. Boku was also for a while.
Yeah.
And then now it came up. And with all respect to our brothers and sisters there, we are just hoping that in the end, things will normalize. I've heard, interestingly, Kojo, I've heard different things from both sides. The Mampusis and the Kusasis. Renowned people from those groupings, and of course you can expect them to be a little biased, but also academics. And I've also interacted with members of that community, and trust me, some of the things that it's just opened my eyes to the real undercurrents, the problems in there, chieftaincy and all of that. I just feel there's no so intractable problem or whatever in this world that can't be. Even I feel Israel, Palestine, at some point, it's one of the most intractable conflicts in the world. At some point, we would have resolution. But anyway,
I think the willingness to say, well, for peace and unity, I give up. It's not something that we do so well in this part of our country, and that's why you see these issues, especially with chieftaincy. Go and ask, do detailed analysis of these chieftaincy issues, and you would see that, well, it's something we could have said, well, for peace and tranquility, let it go.
Let it go.
You be on the throne. When you leave, my side will come, but we will protract it, we'll fight, people will die, and the seat will be there. This brings to mind Second D. Second D has been without a paramount chief for close to 20, if not more than. Because
disputes there as well.
Yes, and it's within the same family. And so sometimes I wish that in 2023 we'd find beautiful ways of handling our disagreements.
Isn't that we are simply missing the plot? Because chieftaincy, even pre-independence, had its real role, way pre-independence. You get it?
Yeah.
Things changed a bit when the colonialists, the imperialists came on the continent, different from the Portuguese to the British. And then the British came with their own system, and of course the chiefs had their own roles to play, a subservient role. Then we had independence, and sometimes there was friction between Nkrumah and the chiefs. You know about some of them where they were leaning and the politics of it. Eventually we would have constitutions that would talk about chiefs not dabbling in politics and all of that, though we still see it. But I look at the institution and wonder, from north all the way down south, our country is riddled with chieftaincy disputes from here, Gamami, the Manche. I don't need to go there. We already know the issue. All the way up north, there are disputes everywhere. I don't know what the House of Chiefs maybe can do in that respect.
The little knowledge I have of it is, the politics is everywhere. That's what we need to understand. Politics is everywhere. Our workplaces and the House of Chiefs, there are politics there. There are groupings.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And so if a group says that, well,
even in choosing the head, we often hear of the president of the National House of Chiefs. We often hear of, politics from this end or that end at play. And I mean, party politics.
They are all involved. That's why I said that. Now party politics has even entered chieftaincy. It has. The reality is that partisan politics has entered chieftaincy, whether we like it or not. We need to be frank about it, and that's why we are facing these challenges. Party A would want to have a chief that belongs to its side. Party B would want to have a chief that belongs to its side. The reality is that there are chiefs that are, aligned to Party A and Party B. So during Party A's tenure, you realize that there are chiefs that become prominent. And doing
very important point you're making.
Yeah. And during Party B's time, there are chiefs that become prominent.
And when Party A is in power, those who align to Party B will be in the shadows.
Exactly.
And maybe throw sucker punches every now and then. When Party B is in power, then you see them. It's a very important point.
Yeah. So that is why what we do see what we see happening is happening. You know, politics entered into student front and broke it. You and I know that the student front is not as strong as it used to be.
As vibrant as it used to be.
And so they have also targeted the chieftaincy and they have been successful.
How about religion? It's in there too.
Well.
As for that one, yesterday I saw another image of someone who was ferocious, you know, back in the day. I don't want to mention against which party. And the question was, is this person still in the country? Because the person is still alive. And you see all of those happen, whether NDC is in power or NPP is in power. Some will be critical when the NDC is in power, go quiet when the NPP is in power. Some will be critical when the NPP is in power, go quiet when the NDC is in power.
Yeah.
If we keep up like this...
So that's it. So 2023, let us adopt a different strategy.
Yeah.
If there is a chieftaincy vacancy somewhere, the family should have, you know, the processes for electing chiefs.
Right.
Go ahead and do it so that we can spare this country the whole hula baloo of these noise about conflict here and then. We spend too much money in resolving conflict that could have been resolved without.
I would say, and I am proposing, I'm just proffering this, that I think probably one of the best legacies this administration could leave Ghanaians with. It cannot resolve all the chieftaincy disputes, but there are major ones, like Boku. Boku seemed to have been resolved a long time ago. Obviously, it hasn't. The sparks still fly. If some of the major chieftaincy disputes we have, 1 to 10, could be resolved before or by the end of 2024, I think that would bode very well for our country, for the peace of our country, the stability of our country, and the economy of our country, because you can't have any development when there is strife.
I pray it happens. You know, the minister for that area is my MP.
I see.
Yes, lawyer Benjamin Akakpo is my MP.
I see.
He's not been well for some time, but he's okay now. That even this weekend.
Yeah, we've all known that he's
having a Thanksgiving service.
We bless the Lord.
His demeanor should help him do it. You know, he's a very calm person. He's not a person that will harm even a fly. So I'm sure that he can use that. Just as they settled the one with Yendi, right? That's where the Yana is solid way to handle the issue. They should use that same approach and deal with the major ones. Like I said, Sekendi has been without a paramount chief for 20 years. That's too long. If they can, and if they can resolve Boko, it would help.
All those must be resolved. Right before we get into the paper, so I actually had to check this on Google to get it right. I don't know why my mind was going to Manila, but I did mention Rumble in the Jungle. That was it. Muhammad Ali,
Zaire.
George Foreman in the former Zaire, October 30, 1974. And I just remembered something when I saw the flyer. You know, back then they were doing 15 rounds. 15 rounds. You notice that it was in the latter stages that Foreman started tiring out. And that was when Ali,
Muhammad Ali
got him.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the live stream. There's a comment that came through saying they should reduce cement prices, please. That's... So, you remember cement hit about 100 cedis?
Yeah, it was, I think, when I asked last December, it was 90, I think 90 and 95 or so, I've forgotten, but it's in the 90s.
Are you putting up a factory?
Oh, no, I mean, some...
Let's get into the papers.
But it will be a blessing to put up a factory anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In future, maybe.
Maybe a rice factory, now that we are targeting
I'm into the
massive rice production.
I'm into the local rice thing. I'm on the value chain. I distribute local rice. So maybe in future, why not? If God blesses me enough and I put up...
You could have your own mill and all of that.
No, why not? It will be fantastic. Well, let's start with the daily graphic. Curbing the spread, HIV self-test kit on doorstep. 33,000 cases third quarter last year. Wow. Nungwa interchange shoot up in Skyline. Okay. You know, I'm a testimony to this particular one. Akunta mining not absorbed from illegal mining activities. That's according to John Jenapo. Now, let me bring you a bit of details on the HIV self-test kit. It says, from March this year, HIV self-test kit will be available at pharmacies and health facilities across the country to purchase to enable people to self-test to know their HIV status. The program manager of the National STIs and HIV/AIDS Control Program, HIV and AIDS Control Program, Dr. Stephen Ayisi Addo, who disclosed this to the Daily Graphic in Accra last Tuesday, said the introduction of the self-test kit meant that HIV testing could now be done on the doorstep of people at any space they consider to be private and confidential. Wow, that's a good development there. So that today, man, you can stay wherever, even in your car, and test to know your status. So it's a good thing. I pray that when it comes, we would all accept it and help eliminate or, reduce HIV and AIDS in the country to the barest minimum. Now,
the numbers have really shot up in recent times. For which reason the AIDS Commission and others have had to come and speak about it. And the worry also is partly because a lot of people don't know their status, yet they're engaging in all kinds of activity, without knowing their status. And that is problematic because then anyone could be infected and then it just continues. And you know what this means on our health infrastructure, which is shaky at best, and what that would also mean to the economy. An ailing economy or an ailing population would necessarily result in an ailing economy.
Yeah, that's when you calculate the man hours lost due to illness,
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's what the mines and the oil companies do so well, when they calculate the impact of people who are ill on their operations. So sometimes you go to a company and they will say, oh, for this quarter, we've been without no injuries, because they know how much it means to them. But the entire economy, we've not been doing that. But like you mentioned, when you're the active workforce,
labor, right?
And
that's what HIV targets as well. I mean, it is those in that same age category.
So let me bring a bit of statistics. It says that for the first half of last year, almost 24,000 new infections were recorded. Now, as at the end of the third quarter of the last year, we had identified 33,870 people positive for HIV. This is to tell you that HIV is still real, and we need to continue the battle and the war in the media for the public to know that they need to do something about it, especially young people, Dr. Ayisi Addo said. Now, quoting the HIV and AIDS Sentinel survey, the NACP National Program Manager said, in 2020, the prevalence of the disease among 15 to 24-year-olds was 1.1%. And that increased to 1.5% in 2021, which meant that they were having increases in young population due to ignorance and complacency. So that's
exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, we need to target. But let me bring something on the Akonta mining thing. I think it's been...
And I would like to know what your take is on... Of course, we've heard from Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Cojo. I am personally not too convinced about the explanation he gave in response to what Dr. Ken Ashigbe had asked. And it's all about the optics and that coming from the president. I feel it could have come from maybe the Lands and Natural Resources Minister pending the OSP's final investigative work. But especially because of the past, comments from the past by the executive, the Australian visa issue, the Gold Coast situation, the Charles Bissue issue, I felt it should have been, left to be. Because then you would have the Vitus Azims, as I spoke to him yesterday, read between the lines and find out whether there is no tacit, you get it? Because sometimes, I mean, especially in Africa, a leader says something and it's basically telling you, you know what, you in this position, the decision you're about to make, I feel it was needless. That is me. I don't know what you're thinking.
I think the reason why the president spoke about it was that the chairman of that occasion, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, when I spoke to him, said he had used that occasion to demand from the president what is being done about that thing. And the president, at the end of his speech, thought that, well, if I don't respond to Dr. Ken Ashigbe, it will be sort of say I've disrespected him. So I said, okay, at the time we are speaking, Akonta mining was not working, but it doesn't mean that Akonta mining.
But on a more serious note, if you look at how it is couched, and I'll be talking about it in my blunt thoughts today. If you look at how it is couched, is there no way he could have gone about it without? Let me ask you this: how many of us do not know that is the situation? That Akonta mining has not been mining in that enclave since late last year.
No,
but how many don't know? Because following that, we had reports come through, which we actually put out, that look, so in that Nimre Forest area, no longer working. We even went further, and those in Samre Boy had their say. Even recently, the youth there had their say again. So technically, the president, by saying that, was he telling us anything new, or was he trying to?
Oh, no, he was not. There was nothing.
So that's the point.
But I'm saying that when he was responding to Dr. Kenashiba at that event, because there is nothing new to it, he sort of to tell the man that, whereas at the time we are speaking, he's not mining.
Ken, who already knows that.
But he asked for a feedback, and the president didn't have the letter, so he had to. But I'm saying that it's good we now know that it doesn't absolve him of his wrongdoing. Because once he's entered into a forest when he had not been given permission, because as the youth were speaking about it, the notice for publication of his application was done in September 2022. And when the notice is given, it doesn't mean you've been given permit to go in there. So he engaged in an illegality, and that's a matter that the OSP is dealing with. So we're going to leave it to him. But it's interesting. The youth say that they don't want him in there again. So let's see how that particular one goes. But after 2 years of non-stop work, a 3-tier interchange is now visible in the skyline of Nungwa Barrier as part of the Accra Tema Beach Road project. The Beach Road project, which begins at the independent arch of the Black Star Square in Accra through Osu, La, and Teshi to Nungwa, involves the remodeling of the single carriageway into a dual carriageway, the construction of a bridge at the A-Life junction at Nungwa, and the construction of a fresh 3-tier interchange at Nungwa Barrier, which is already rising into the skies. The scope of work also includes a 2-way 4-lane urban road, a traffic signal system, and related auxiliary works. The consultant Bon Aqua told the Daily Graphic yesterday that work on the interchange was 78% complete. And Ben, when you get there, it's beautiful. I mean, the thing is that when you get to that area and you see what is coming, you're like, oh, and when they are done, it will really ease, because that place is a lot congested. Yeah. So if they finish, and I always say that the contractor working on that project should be commended. The way he is doing it, that's a very long distance from the independent arch all the way to Nungwa area. And the way
it's been going on for quite a while. And when you're using the stretch, sometimes the traffic and all of that. But when it's done, it's going to be
the way
very,
he
very
blocks
positive.
Portions of it. That's the portion.
No, but that's how it's supposed to be done. You can't just block and
I just love him.
I
don't know who the contractor is, but I think that the work they're doing is incredible, and we need to commend.
And as we salute the contractors, we should also ensure that they get paid.
Yeah,
last year, I think some 800 and something, or was it 600 and something million got paid to them at the tail end of the year. I remember front page, Daily Graphic, and all of that. But you speak to them. In fact, recently I spoke to one of them, and it's a drop in the bucket. It's a pittance. There are so many of them who contracted loans from banks, and now look at the interest rates. So you can imagine where some of them are. You took a loan from a bank. Now the interest rate has shot up because the policy rate has also shot up. And you've not got the funds you required to complete the project. Maybe the project has stalled. Maybe part of what you've done has already been eroded by rain and all of that. You'll probably have to do it again. There's no funding. Charlie, it's a very tricky place.
I know contractors. I know some of them, and they do. It's not easy. Because look, the fuel you would even use in your operation, it's huge. There's this popular contractor in the Western Union called Asabia, and sometimes he will tell you that, look, this work I've done, they have not even paid me for that work. So if you sort of want to insult me, I would also insult you back, because I'm feeling the pinch of what's happening. So sometimes it's quite frustrating. But I think this work falls in under the Chinese 3 billion loan.
The Sino-Hydro loan.
Yeah, I think so. So
the Sino-Hydro facility, I
think that, and then the Takrady interchange. I think these facilities. So theirs is a direct payment for her. So I think for them, that's why the work rate is like that. Because when you go to Takrady as well, you can see that it's also up in the skyline. It's beautiful. So I think that's why these two places, the work is really progressing. If we're about to end, we would have to talk about something that is happening in government.
We're not ending yet, but you go ahead.
Okay. Ben, we know that Alan Cojo Chiramanting.
Oh, you mean Alan Cash?
Yes, who's the Minister for Trade and Industry, who wants to become the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party for the 2024 elections. Tendered in his resignation yesterday.
Oh.
But whether it's been accepted or not, that I cannot say. But what we do know now is that he tendered in his resignation to the old man yesterday to clear the way
to Mr. President.
To Mr. President. Well, sometimes I hear the people say old man, so okay, I'm sorry. To Mr. President. That he wants to, stay out of government so he can concentrate on his ambition to lead the party.
Oh, sir.
Yeah. So that is what is happening now. So don't be surprised to hear today that the president has accepted.
But the president hasn't accepted.
He hasn't. No, we don't know of that yet. Whether he even accepted this dawn, or this early morning, or he will accept later, or he will say no. But of course, I'm not sure the president will say no, because you know that people were earlier. He had said that if you want to, lead a party, you cannot do politics in my government. So let's see. It's interesting. We'll see how this one.
So it would be interesting if he didn't accept it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you have said that.
Because you've made it clear.
Exactly. So if now the people want to step out of government, then you have no choice than to accept their resignation. But if that happens, then the question people will ask is, what then happens to other people in government who want to lead interesting developments coming up?
Are you trying to say something?
I'm not. I'm only asking a question. That now we know that Alan Cojo Chiramanting is resigning. He has indeed indicated his intention to resign. It's now left to the president to accept or reject it. But it's easier for you to know that the president may be accepting that resignation. But then it would lead to people asking that, what of people who are still in government? Interesting days ahead.
Why do I recall Obrafo's Asembe Badebi Bema Bema Tiha Wudimu? Anyway, let's get into. Are you done with the Daily Graphic?
Yeah, I think these are the stories that.
Okay.
Because when people know that the Nungwa interchange is coming up, we've spoken about contaminating. I think. Yeah.
Is there anything in sports? Especially as we're focusing on sports today.
Okay. So in football or sport, it's unfortunate that when we talk about sports,
it's either boxing or football, right?
Anyway, Adamos Resources Partners Swag Award. That is what is there. I think that's basically what is in sports there. And then we also hear, no, that's it. That's in sports.
Okay. Awards, Something just came to mind. In Cuba, they've not allowed women to box in a long while.
Oh, okay.
And even boxing as an Olympic sport for women, I think it's only recently that they started accepting it. But now Cuba has started. It used to be just a few years ago, I think, I don't know whether it's the United States or some other country that knocked them off their perch. But it used to be the country with the highest number of gold medals in Olympic boxing. Cuba is known for boxing. Wow. You've not really taken notice, huh?
No.
They've beaten some of our guys in the past.
Oh, okay.
Just as we've also fared well. But now they're allowing women to box. And
in Ghana, I hear of a beautiful story about this young lady who wants to, change the narrative of becoming a boxer.
Oh, the 11-year-old.
Yes.
Is it not?
Yes.
Is it Najat or something?
Like that? I think that the name.
Najat or Najat or something like that. I was so enthused when I saw her. I was so happy.
Yeah.
And I watched this bout where she was with a person taller and everything. Charlie on Tijayo.
That's a fact.
She reminds me in a way of Tyson. short like the he will give you right now.
But Tyson didn't make watching boxing interesting. Because for him, when he comes on, he wants to end it.
I say there was this bout in first round, Charlie. People were coming in. Tyson at first.
Yeah, I remember. That was 23 seconds. The bout ended in 23 seconds. Yeah, I remember that bout.
Tyson was vicious.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper now. 47 foreign nationals repatriated for engaging in illegal QNet. That is according to the national security bit. Let's deepen church-state relationship. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. Ghana poised to request debt relief via G20 common framework. We've been told in recent times that the IMF has been engaging the Paris Club to get us some concessions as far as our debts are concerned. On the back page, minority leader hands over maternity ward to Nyohine Health Center. And this reminds me, in my blunt thoughts today, I'll be bringing in a bit about what you did. It was in the Western region, right?
The road.
The road.
Yes.
And do you know what got me?
No.
Do you know what got me?
No.
Which I'm going to be talking about.
The ambulance?
The ambulance. So an ambulance, under normal circumstances, is supposed to move at a certain speed.
Yes.
Imagine having an emergency in which maybe in some 30 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe it's even a snake bite, you need anti-venom or something, you will die.
No, the person cannot make it.
On that road.
Yeah. If God does not intervene.
You will die.
You cannot make it. No. It's so terrible. Very, very, look, and it's people should go there. From Bodie all the way through to Asankragwa. It's terrible.
And these, interestingly, are communities producing cocoa for us.
Yes. They are one of the leading areas in cocoa production, if not the leader. And so the people cannot understand why their roads are left to deteriorate to that level. And Ben, when I traveled on that road, I was like, if I had known, I would not have brought my car here. But it's also good that I sent my car because
you had the experience.
Exactly. So nobody can tell me that you have not been there. This one, I drove on it. I experienced it. You cannot maintain 30 kilometers per hour for even 5 minutes on that road. 5 minutes is even just once. The rest, 10 seconds, you fall into a so bad. Such a, and they tell me that from Asankragwa to Bodia is even worse, to Samrabwa is even worse. So something should change, really. The way we treat this country. Sometimes I ask, where is our plan to develop this country? Where is the plan we are working with? Because it looks like we don't have a plan. We
have the National Development Planning.
Where is it? Where is it? I mean, they are there, but really, have they given? You remember?
Or are you saying our plans are on paper, but they are never implemented?
That's our problem. We have fantastic.
Which brings to mind, we were told some time back about. Was it the area with the lagoon that we would we would drench it
and make it a
and we would have hotels what happened to that?
Nothing has happened.
Charlie, the way the technical guy described it that day,
look,
this country,
sometimes people should leave probably, say Accra, and go to the hinterland. Even Accra, you see Western. Like you're saying,
go to the south.
The marine
go to
thing
the east.
is
sometimes you don't have to go far. Right here in Accra, you'll be shocked.
Charlie. And so I was saying, if government and the Cocoa Road too is there, why aren't we using the Cocoa Road to construct the border to Asankragwa Road? Because people will die on that road. People will die if they have to be transported from border to Asankragwa or from Asankragwa to border. Or to Bogoswa and Takwa. They will. So really, something should change about that area. The road is so bad. And I've seen that the Lands Ministry and GAF vowed to deep in Galamsey fight. Ben, I went to an area where I went to do that boy story, where the boy was using champagne to produce power in Jantwa Chrome.
Yeah.
Look, from about 30 or 40 minutes to the town, beside the road, everywhere has been mined. And the place is so deep that I don't know which military person who can will
it's like a gully. It's a gully.
You cannot frequent the place. So sometimes I sit back and I'm like, should we change our strategy to probably have the buy-in of the people for them to know that what you're doing.
Well, we are saying we're tweaking the strategy in the fight against Galamsey, like we've been told. But whether that strategy will work, because we've tried strategy upon strategy, and I think, you see, yes, there's the buy-in of the community. Where was it that Reverend Father, we spoke to a Reverend Doctor yesterday, Catholic priest, and he made mention he has done a lot of research in Galamsey, and he's an anti-Galamsey campaigner. And he mentioned this community where the people had vowed, community members, chiefs, everything, no Galamsey in this area. We are not going to tolerate it and all of that. That buying is needed. But I also say, just as you can't go to Singapore and be spitting around because it's forbidden by law and you could get arrested, sometimes it's about the law's implementation. Singapore did not become what it did overnight. It was just as we are. there was a change in mind shift, but that change came about because there were laws that said, henceforth, you can't do this anymore.
I think it's true.
And then the generation that came after, all they came and met was that. So they became accustomed to it. And the thinking of the previous generation was wiped out.
A friend was telling
30
me
years,
about,
one generation.
A friend was telling me about what happened in Rwanda when he was there. He took a taxi and the police stopped a driver, asked a lot of questions, and then he went. And then when they were talking, the driver said he dares not give any bribe to the police because when he does, both of them will be arrested. They will go to jail. The police will come back. He will not be out of. He will be out of work. So he won't dare give any bribe to the police. The police won't dare take anything from he, the driver. So I think it's about the implementation of the law that brings about change. So let's see. I've heard the minister say that a court has given a hefty sentence to some illegal miners. Let's see what that happens. But can we see more effective implementation of the law governing small-scale mining in the country? That probably will do the magic. Because like I said, when I went to that community, I asked myself, will the president really know what's happening here? Will the military know? Because as of 9:30, 10 p.m., these guys were on site mining. And I said, well, the military commander may be sleeping, but these guys are here working. It's difficult. Yeah. So we should find ways of getting people to be afraid of venturing into that arena so we can save our environment. Because look, what is happening is serious. That they have mined both sides of the road, and I don't know what can happen to bring it back unless we probably engage in some recovery.
And talking about systems that work, just to bring this up, U.S. coach Berhalter asked to step aside, being investigated for kicking wife in 1991.
Whoa.
They've been married for about 25 years. You can call it youthful, whatever, though it is something absolutely wrong. But he did this once. 1991. Even before our constitution came into force, it is being brought back retrospectively.
Yeah.
It's haunting him. And he's been asked to step aside as investigations continue.
It won't happen here. So
Thank you.
Maybe we should start thinking along those lines.
So on the bit about the G20 Common Framework, Ghana is set to request a debt relief via the G20 Common Framework program to ensure debt and macroeconomic sustainability. Reuters has reported the Common Framework process set up by the Group of 20 leading economies in 2020 was in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, we'll also need that for some debt sustainability. And then, page 13, 47 foreign nationals repatriated for engaging in illegal QNet. And the National Security says the foreigners at the center of the blame game between the Ghana Police Service and Ghana Immigration Service are not missing, but have been repatriated to their respective countries since September last year. It clarified that they were 47 African nationals who were arrested for allegedly engaging in illegal network marketing in the Ashanti region and not 48 alleged terrorists. That's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Okay, now just to wrap with the daily guide, IMF international creditors discuss Ghana's debt.
Right.
I'm sure it's in relation to the G20, as you mentioned. It says that the International Monetary Fund is taking giant steps to have debt of Ghana, along with 5 other countries, cancelled. Okay, so that's basically, as you mentioned, the G20. So let's see how that goes. Also, comply with 15% fee increment. Minister direct varsities, and your people have been pointed out that you are doing what your increment is more than the necessary, the approved one. So
that matter has been resolved.
Really?
Yes, it has.
Okay. Thank you.
But your school has also increased it. I don't know why you're trying to throw any punches.
No, but my school obeyed. It
obeyed
complied with a 15% increment. We didn't go beyond it.
The university administration said it had not gone beyond the required.
But the minister says,
I know the minister has come, but I'm reporting to you what the university's administration came in. Did you listen to Professor Awandare?
I have used. Oh, did you listen? I even spoke to him. But if you go and take your wife's fish from the soup, and your wife asks you, Ben, will you say that I took that fish?
But my wife's fish is my fish.
No, I'm just saying that if you took it, and she didn't see it, then she's asking you, will you say, yes, I took it? You probably say, I have not seen it. So really.
Anyway.
Until God comes to say that I saw you did it. Now the minister says that, no, you've done it. You've gone beyond 30%, so come back. I mean, I'm not the one saying it.
Anyway, we're running off now. Lovely shirt. Mine is by Sewa Abankwa, and she put this lovely piece out there for me around Club 100 in Kanda. Sewa Abankwa, thank you so much for this lovely outfit. And
mine is from my usual guy at Dan Soman.
okay,
You know,
I thought as much.
Yeah.
Fantastic work as always.
That's a good guy, you know. But my brother Valentine Akwa is watching us from Bia West. He says good morning to us. So yeah.
Good morning to you too, bro. On that note, we'll be serving you sports, but mind you, right after that, I'll be sharing with you my blunt thoughts. Brand new year, but same lame old approach, repeating the sins of 2022. Sports up next.
This youngster demonstrated his talent as early as age 17. He made a name for himself as one of the best in the midfield area in just 2.5 years on the Ghanaian turf. He eventually moved to Austria after joining Salzburg, one of the most successful clubs in the country. Despite making a few outings for the first team, things have not been smooth. Lawrence Agyekum lays it bare about his early days at Salzburg, plus expectations for the second half of the season and his national ambition. Lawrence Agyekum, thank you very much for your time. How has it been? You just arrived in town, I think, or when?
I came last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks, for Christmas.
Yeah.
And New Year. How has it been? What have you been doing?
Always with my family, with my friends, loved ones, and a little bit of training sessions as well.
You are here for holidays and you are still training. But what did you do with your family? Did you go out?
I went out with my family. I stayed home with them, more talks. Yeah, it was good.
So it was fun?
It was fun.
Okay. Happy New Year.
Thank you, same to you.
First of all, let's start with how you started your footballing career. How did it start for you? How did you get that interest?
I started playing in Nigeria.
Okay.
When I was little, and I had a passion for football. So I started maybe on the street. I didn't play any team in Nigeria. So
around what age?
Around 7. Okay. So when I came to Ghana, my dad is a Ghanaian, and I came to Ghana to a club in Ashama. That's where I started my coach career there.
Is your mom and
my mom is a Nigerian.
My dad is a Ghanaian.
That's why I have this fair color.
Okay. But hopefully you play for Ghana, not Nigeria, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Absolutely. So from there, how did you get to WAFA?
The team I played, the coach team I played, there were some WAFA scouts that were scouting me. So I had a chance for a trial in WAFA. And when I went to WAFA, at first it was a little bit tough. But as time went on, I adapted and I was selected to be part of the team.
You made a point that the beginning was quite tough. What are some of the challenges that made you think, this?
New environment, new friends, new coach, new tactics, new training sections. So it was tough at the beginning. But when I got used to it, then I was almost a beast.
You were a beast. So you started playing for WAFA, and obviously you played for their first team.
Yeah.
How was it like playing for an academic club that we know what academy is? It's more or less like a school that you have to go to. How is it like?
My dream was to play in an academic team. So when I got a chance, I was very happy. And WAFA, it's a good developing academy, and they helped me a lot in my development. When I was playing for my coach team, I realized there were certain things I lacked. But when I went to WAFA, I was taught, and it really helped me.
What did they teach you?
Pressing, movement, time to pass, time to dribble, everything.
So is it like on a pitch, the coach will be telling you, okay, Lawrence, do this, don't do this. How was the teaching process?
Both on the pitch and off the pitch. Sometimes you go to the classroom and they teach us football, and not only on the pitch.
And it really helped you a lot.
It really helped me a lot.
But still talking about Wafa, they are no longer in the Ghana Premier League. I think that was last year. When you saw that news, what came to your mind? That your former club, the club that has built you, has been relegated.
I was very, very sad. Looking at their level and they dropping to the Premier First Division, it was very appalling. So I was sad. My prayers were with them, but maybe my prayers wasn't enough. But it's football. You rise, you come down, you rise, you come down.
But what do you think happened? Because Wafa, we know, have got the players. They've got really good players. So why will such a team with good players get relegated? What do you think? You have played there.
Maybe I think the change of coaches, maybe new players, youth players coming. So it's maybe affected the team a little bit.
What did you guys have that the others didn't? Because at your time, I mean, you've got some good players. So what did you guys have? Is it the mentality? Is it that you people, you knew each other? Or there is something?
We always had a winning mentality. I wouldn't say those they didn't get, but they didn't have. But we were always ready to push. We were always ready to win, to get money, bonuses and stuff. So we're very determined in every game we play.
Personally, how did you settle in that Wafa team? Because you made a point that you were from a Colts team, you joined the team, and you had to learn some one or two, how to pass, how to press and all that. And you've been able to learn that to its fullest. As you sit here right now, you are playing for an abroad club. So what was the transition like from the coach side to an academy?
It all started when I was in the under-17, under-15, place under-15 in the Wafa. I went for a tournament in Salzburg. We usually go there every year. And the year I went, we were fortunate and we won the trophy. So after then, we went again for a tournament in Côte d'Ivoire. That was Tida. And we came out with a third position. So since then, my confidence level started going up. It was going high. So I was promoted to the first team. And when I got the chance to play in the first team, I didn't take it as a joke. I gave all I could, and I got a position there.
Now, the conversation is coming to get personal. I'm talking about yourself. If you're talking about Lawrence Agyekum, what does he bring on board? What kind of quality do you offer? What would you say?
Quality
in football, yes, in football.
I'm a very good passer, and I have a good vision, and technically gifted.
So what can you do on the pitch? With these qualities, how do you change games?
I break lines with my passes and my speed. No, I'm not an attacker, maybe winger. I'm a midfielder, but I have a good speed.
So midfielder, is it central midfielder, attacking, or maybe defense?
Attacking midfielder.
You are so you're number 10.
Yeah, number 10.
Number 10, okay.
Yeah, so with my qualities, with my technique, my passing technique, I'm able to break lines with my speed. I have a good pressing style. Yeah, and it really helps the team. I also win balls as well.
So you're defensively good as well. So you're more or less a mixed bag. You've got a bit of everything.
So.
Okay, do you remember your best game for Wafa?
I think one of my best games was the last game for when the league will be over against House of Folk. Yeah, we won them. We won 1-0. And we needed a victory in that game so we could seal the third position.
Under Prosper,
Under Prosper, yeah.
That was your best game.
Yes, I really tormented there.
What did you do? What did you do? Just talk us through what you did with this Hearts team. Because they were the champions, I think. Yeah, what did you do to them?
I tormented them. You can even watch the video on YouTube. I really tormented them. I gave them nightmares.
Who in particular would you mention in the Hearts team that you...
No, I don't really know their names like that.
Okay. But that was your best game. Do you remember your best goal?
Against Omina Sharks in Cape Coast.
How did you score that goal?
I dribbled past 5 players.
5 players?
And I lobbed over the goalkeeper.
Wow. These are the kind of goals Haaland and Co score, Messi and Ronaldo. And you did that as a midfielder?
As a midfielder.
That's great. Which player are you looking up to? Since you are a midfielder, which player are you looking up to?
At first, I used to watch Andres Iniesta. His dribbling, his passes, but now, football is becoming more intense. So now my favorite player at the moment is Valverde, because of his speed, his passing, his technique, his tackling. I think he's a complete midfielder.
Okay, so now you are hoping to play like Federico Valverde of Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or do you want to play Real Madrid one day?
Yeah, hopefully one day.
Now, after this stellar performance, you had a move to Austria.
Yeah.
How did it happen?
At first, actually, I knew I'd be going to Salzburg because of the connection they had with Wafa. You go on tournaments, and when you perform in the tournament, they give you a chance to come to Salzburg. They sign you. So I think during the tournament, and we also went for a marketing match, I think 2019 or so, and I really played well. So I guess it was from there they started monitoring me until I was 18, and they gave me the chance.
How have you settled? Obviously, you moved last year. How have you settled in your new club?
I can say I really settled very well. By the beginning, new system, new friends, new coach, new food, new environment, so to become difficult for you. But as time went on, when I got used to their style of play, their system of play, and their food, kind of.
What kind of food?
Yeah, they are normal vegetables now.
You don't want to get the fufu and then watch it here, right?
That's why when I come home, I want to eat.
You want to eat what?
And kill myself.
Oh, I see. But aside from the food part, your training with a new team and all that, the weather there, how long did it take you for you to start coping? Because obviously, Ghana, there is heat.
I think I went there somewhere this time last year.
Okay.
So it was very cold, and first time playing in such weather, it was a little bit difficult for me. Yeah, but as time went on, 2 months, 3 months, I started adapting, and I got used to their system, and I became one of them.
Did you think you were going to start playing for the first team, or you were like, it's going to take some time?
Actually, when I signed for Salzburg and I was playing with Lefren, I gave myself a year in Lefren to be able to develop and match the standard of the first team. But things went fast for me. Football, you can rise at any time, you can fall at any time. I thought I was lucky. I got the first opportunity, my debut to play, and I impressed a lot. And since then, I started getting other call-ups in the league games and cup match.
What will make the season a very satisfactory for you?
For myself, I would like to give more assists, help the team with some goals, and for the team to help win the league and to also qualify for the Champions League.
Have you made friends there?
Yeah, I have friends.
A lot.
A lot.
Okay, but who can you mention? Who are you close to in the team?
Umar Diakite. They call him Diamond, Black Diamond.
Black Diamond.
Yeah,
he's your close friend, and that's the team. But I understand you went on loan as well. How did the loan spell go?
It really went well. The league games, I had a chance to play the UEFA Youth League, and we came out second.
So that's the first time you were playing in, not the Champions League proper, but it's still the Champions League. You featured in the Champions League for the youth side.
Yes.
And how would you rate your performance?
I played well.
What did you do?
With my technique, with my pressing, my work rate, I really helped the team on my side.
You scored, you assisted?
I scored and assisted. In the youth league, I didn't score, but I gave some assists.
Yeah. Are you back at Salzburg?
Yeah, I'm back.
The first team?
The first team.
So how will it be like? So when you go back, you'll be part of
the
Salzburg's first team.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to? Because obviously the second round of the season.
I know there will be a lot of competitions in the team, but I'm ready. I'm always ready. Even if it's a minute I'll get to play, I'm ready to put in all my effort to help the team win and everything.
So you haven't played in the Champions League for Salzburg before. It's the youth side,
the youth
right?
side, yeah.
Just to make it very clear. Okay, so you are ready to play for the first team.
I'm ready to play.
How ready are you? Because I'm asking these questions because Salzburg is a big club in Austria. I just checked their league table and they are on top. Obviously, they would want to win it. I don't know if the coach would want to risk and then give young players the opportunity. So what would you tell your coach? How can you convince him that Lawrence is ready to make the mark in the Salzburg team?
And my training session will be enough to give him a reason to put me in some matches. Yeah, because I really work a lot in training. And when I play games too, you could see, those that watch, they could see that the guy is really working hard.
Are you hoping to stay at Salzburg for the next couple of years? I will not say forever.
Yeah, I'm giving myself 2 years in Salzburg. And hopefully after 2 years, I get a bigger deal.
So 2 years, what would you hope to achieve with Salzburg? Is it the league title or you want to, because they are also a Champions League team, so you want to do what Haaland did, because Haaland is with Salzburg that he did so well and he had a Dortmund move. So are you hoping to also follow suit?
Yeah, I'll follow their footsteps. To win cups, league games, to help in scoring, assisting, anything that will bring glory to the club. Yeah, I'm ready for it.
What's your dream club in Europe? Dream club. I didn't say the club that you want to go to, you would be signing for. Dream club. Is it United? Is it Chelsea? Don't say Chelsea. Is it Liverpool? Is it Real Madrid? What's your dream club?
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Oh, no wonder you like Andres Iniesta. Okay. So hopefully you want to play with De Jong and Pedri and the likes.
Yeah, hopefully one day.
But are you similar with Pedri in terms of the way you guys play? Or Gavi, whichever way, because they're also young.
Yeah, Pedri, I think, similar.
Yeah. You dribble like him.
I dribble.
But he doesn't score much.
Just like me.
Just like you. Okay, nice, Norris. Now, the national team is also there. You are 19 years. You could play for the under-20, you play for the under-23, and obviously the Black Stars. But have you played for any of the national teams for them?
No, I haven't played for you.
No national team?
No national team.
Okay. The under-23, I think they have a competition to play later this year. Will you be available to play in case they call you?
I'm always available to represent my motherland.
You'll be competing with some players?
It's always a dream to wear the national team jersey. So whether under 23, Black Stars in the future, I'll always be available.
Black Stars are available now?
Yes, if I get a chance.
You're available now, if you get a chance?
If I get a chance.
What makes you think that you can do more than what the likes of Salis and Partey and Elisha, all the midfielders are doing?
No, football is opportunity. When you give a player the chance, the more you play games, the more your confidence level goes high. So if you have so much confidence in yourself, you believe in yourself, you believe in your capabilities, your techniques, there's no match that should be a nightmare for you.
But we've seen players that have been called up to the national team and maybe things did not go the way they wanted it. So what makes you think that for you, once you get a call up, you are going to fire?
By grace. So by grace. And the Bible even says, if you don't work, you can't chop, you can't eat.
So Lawrence is ready for the Black Stars call up.
Black Stars call up.
You are in 2023. You are a central, you are an attacking midfielder. You have Federico Valverde and Andres Iniesta as your role models, and you are ready for the Black Stars.
I'm ready for the Black Stars.
Oh, I see. Now let's just briefly come back to the Ghana Premier League. We know there are a lot of talents here, but then not many get a chance to go to the top. So I'm sure in this your Wafa team, there were so many of your colleagues that were equally good. What do you think the FA can do that would help maybe the league so that the young players who are from this country can also excel in Europe? Based on your experience, I mean, you've gone to Austria and you've seen how things are like.
I would suggest that the FA, maybe they should organize more tournaments, European tournaments, African tournaments for the players. When those tournaments comes, they'll be able to see the talents that Ghanaian players are having. And when the agents or scouts also have been there in the tournament, they also see the qualities of players we have in Ghana. And I think there will be a lot of chances for the players.
For now, you look at Europe and it's Mohamed Kudus who is making name for himself as a Ghanaian, putting a country on the world map. Do you think if things are to be done right, we could get a lot, maybe we would even rise up there, we'll get a lot of players?
We'll get a lot of players. There are a lot of talents in Ghana. I watched some and I realized some of them are even better than me, much better than me, but there are not so much opportunities for them, so it's kind of difficult for them to see the kind of qualities they have.
In the Ghana Premier League, we all know that what do you guys take, is it a month or a week? I don't know. It's not so convincing. Is that the main reason why you guys want to leave? Or is it because you know that when you leave, you have a chance of getting a national call-up? That's why you are leaving. What causes the mass departure or exodus of players away from the local scene?
You know, football is passion. Some play with passion, some go for the money. And if the league in Ghana, they pay well, I don't think no Ghanaian player will love to be playing in Europe and other countries. Will love to play in Ghana and earn a good money and take care of their families and friends.
So maybe the government of the FA can more or less do something, get a cap as in a minimum wage for maybe the players. You think that will help players stay a lot?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you aware that the CHAN is coming up? Just do you know the CHAN? CHAN is players for local. Yes, exactly. I think on the 13th of this month, it will come. The coach has selected some players. I don't know whether you've played with some, but I'm sure you know some.
Yeah, I know some.
Yeah,
I've played with some.
You've played with some. With the players we have, it's the first time we are qualifying since 2014. Your coach, your former coach is there, Prosper Nateogun with Anna Walker and the likes. With what we have in camp now, what's your assessment of the team, first of all, before I come to your prediction? What do you make of the team?
I believe in them. I believe in the players. I believe in the management, the coaches, every staff in the team. I believe in them. And I know there's
what makes you believe in them? Yes, what do you see? Is it the intelligence of the coaches or the players are equally good, or you think they are?
The coaches are intelligent. The players, they also have a good mentality, a good mindset. You know, they also want to play for them to be seen. So they'll probably give out 100% of whatever they will do on the pitch. So it will really, really help the team. If a player is fighting, different player is fighting on the field, everyone is fighting, it will yield good results for the team.
So you believe we are capable of?
We are really, really capable.
Winning?
Yes.
You are backing the Black Galaxies to win the CHAN tournament. Is that what Lawrence is saying?
I'm backing them out.
And you think we can do it?
They can do it.
Nice. Who are the players that you played with in the team at the moment? I think they could make the difference.
I played with Kunedu Yadom, who was our former captain, and he is a pillar in the defense.
How influential will he be? Because obviously in the qualifiers he was with Mohamed Al Hassan.
Yeah.
But Mohamed Al Hassan is no more with the team. So you have played with him. What kind of qualities do you think he will bring on board to maybe organize the back line and then maybe help Ghana?
He's physically strong, he's good in the air, he's good with the ball, with long pass, and he coaches the defense as well, the midfielders as well. He's a very good captain, and he will really help the team in the defense and the tournament. Yeah.
You take away Kunedu Yadom, who are the other standout players that you think the country will rely on to succeed?
No, I don't really know their names. But
okay, you have Gladson Awako in the team.
Awako is also a top player, very, very top. He scored us one time ago in the Premier League. That free kick.
Yes.
He will help the team a lot. With his experience, with his technique, he will really help the team.
Do you have any last words to say? Maybe your family, your friends, your fans, Ghanaians watching you, they're hoping that you would play in the Champions League one day.
First of all, I want to say thank you for everything, those supporting me, my family, their constant prayers, my friends, their support, their prayers. And I'm telling them I'm not going to let them down. I'm going to give all I can to make them happy and to put a smile on their face. Yeah.
Lawrence, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you too.
We are Joy. We really appreciate this interview.
Welcome back on the AM show, and the first time this year I'm bringing you my blunt thoughts, and I've titled them Brand New Year, but Same Lame Old Approach, repeating the sins of 2022. To kickstart my first blunt thoughts shared with you in the year 2023 Ghana 4, I would like to ask a question to jog our brains a bit. A leopard, it is said, cannot change its spots, and an old dog, the sages say, cannot learn new tricks. But if we keep going back to the vomit of our old mistakes broadly as a continent and singly as a country, can we expect anything different from what we've always got? Can our lot be different when our actions remain the exact same? What do you think? Me? I obviously think not. Sometimes an individual may get lucky and do something the wrong way and still manage to secure a positive result. Kind of like solving a question in mathematics and getting the workings wrong, yet somehow getting the final answer right. But generally, this is not a functional principle in life, unless you're truly doing what is right and not yet seeing results, which is in a different category. I look back at 2022, a really tough year with some level of angst, and not just because of COVID-19 or the Russia-Ukraine war, which is still ongoing, but because of our sins as a nation, especially the sins bordering on leadership. Our sins caught up with us in terms of corruption-related matters, illegal mining, poor infrastructure, and inability to forecast properly in various aspects of planning, an economy that bit right through the flesh and bones of most individuals and businesses' pockets, the wrong prioritization of projects, and the disbursement of funds for same, like we've seen with the National Cathedral project, and much more. All these and more, done for all these years, led us predictably right back to the doorstep of the IMF in an especially ignominious and inauspicious manner, considering we had been trumpeting how proud we were as a nation and how we would never go to the IMF. Those words were a boomerang that would soon return to haunt us. We've burrowed ourselves into a deep gully, and our appetite from all that we see has not slowed down. We have only been tamed and forced to think deeper into our unbridled borrowing and profligate spending because our economic wings have finally been clipped, as no creditors will lend us money anymore owing to the gargantuan risk involved. 2022, however, is gone. And while we can still sense its distinctively bitter aftertaste in 2023, I was expecting to see some crucial changes in the new year, or even before, so we hit the ground running and make the most of a bad situation. I was foolish in thinking this way. Nothing. Absolutely nothing has changed. If anything at all, I'm seeing worse in some areas. Let's start with the fight against illegal mining, popularly called galamsey. Yes, we've been told government has revised its strategy in combating galamsey, assuring us of a sustained momentum to crack down on galamseyers. I find this to be very positive. But when we purpose to do something like this, and then hear our own president say the things he did recently, that leaves me completely stumped. Let's listen to what the president, Akufo-Addo, said recently about Akonta mining and its brush with the law.
Let me respond briefly to the chairperson on the issue of illegal mining. I want to assure him and all of you that Akonta mining is not engaged in any illegal mining anywhere in Ghana as we speak.
You heard him. I ask, when did Mr. President start clearing people supposedly involved in the same illegal mining he claimed he would put his presidency on the line to tackle? Those comments, unfortunate as they were, and as innocuous as some may purport them to have been, were a tacit way of washing away the alleged sins of Akonta mining and its purported owner, Bernard Ntwibu-Esiako, the MPP's Ashanti regional chairman. And this, even when the special prosecutor has hinted at delving into that very matter, that was disingenuous to say the least. Why, I ask, should Mr. President even wade into this, and what does it do for negative perceptions about the fight against corruption? You do not try striking a snake on the head with one hand and try patting it on the same head with another. It will strike you. But that's precisely what I'm seeing being done. I am upset, but maybe I shouldn't be. After all, have we not seen such reactions in the past in numerous cases from before? But when does it stop? When will we drain the swamp and sanitize our governance? A recent article reports that a circuit court at Doma Hinkroe, the Doma Central Municipality of the Bono region, had sentenced Alexander Addo, aged 24 and unemployed, to a fine of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis for engaging in small-scale mining without a license. Addo pleaded guilty to the charge. In default, he would serve 20 years imprisonment with hard labor. Why then create double standards? Why let the law hit hard at some and give others a slap on the wrist, so to speak? My colleague Samuel Cojo was in different parts of the Western region recently, Asankragra through to Bordia, and the nature of some of the roads there connecting cocoa-producing hubs was absolutely deflating. But even worse, it was taking a toll on crucial health services. I'd like you to watch this brief video before I continue with my discourse.
Now look at how slow the ambulance is driving. It is because of the poor nature of this road. So question is, if there's a patient in this ambulance, how fast can the ambulance take the patient?
Yes, you saw right. That was an ambulance. Now, imagine having a life-threatening emergency in an area like this, which would require emergency health care and an ambulance to convey you to a health facility. Ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that on a stretch like this, your chances of survival would be rather slim, if not non-existent. But guess what? In spite of all these problems we're saddled with as a people, we're still hell-bent on putting up a national cathedral in a short space of time. A comedian, Michael Blackson, has built a school in Agona and Saba. What does our government do with our resources? It seeks to build a cathedral. Go figure. Do you see the comedy in that? A comedian has put up a school which will, by and large, serve the people for free, while our government is busy putting up a national cathedral, which in all likelihood will not even be completed before 2024, when this administration's tenure runs out. Can you see just how absolutely ironic and hilarious that is? No wonder Bloomberg late last year taunted us. It said, the cathedral is the perfect example of the spending spree. Ghana is behaving like a fabulously rich sultanate in the Gulf rather than a developing country just attaining frontier market status. How can we continue acting in such a manner? Tell me. Debbie in the Kpando Municipal Assembly is now getting light for the first time in over 5 decades, over 50 years. Yet in faraway Japan, deliveries of food, etc., are being made by robots. In terms of development, we are light years behind most parts of the world. We absolutely do not have the luxury of time to play the waiting game. Yet at the same time, the industrialized world is still moving forward at a very fast pace. It is almost as though there were two different worlds on our planet, that of the global north and that of the global south. I ask, if we do not catch up with those advanced economies with highly developed systems, when shall we do it? If not now, when? We've had so many missed opportunities. Yet even Debi in Pando just got light after 5 decades. Like Manifest sang in a song, one day you go be, one day you go be, but when one day go come? When? That is the question. As I get ready to wrap, I want to take you through some of what I've been sharing. Illegal mining, in terms of Akonta, it appeared on the OSP's half-year report, and we've talked about the company's accusation of infractions of the law. And the report on illegal mining from the OSP talks about the fact that the investigation targets the activities of Akonta Mining and other companies in there. We also heard President Akufo-Addo speak to that issue in the video. If you look at the economic implications of Galamsey, according to Bloomberg, more than 19,000 hectares, or about 2% of cocoa plantations, have been destroyed by Galamsey operators. Cocoa output slumped by 34% in the first 6 months of 2022 compared to the previous year. That has been the impact. And Ghana is unlikely to meet its initial cocoa output of 850,000 tons this year. Couple that with the road network to Asankragwa to Bodie. Look at this. This is the edifice put up by Ghanaian-American comedian Michael Blackson. He says, by and large, students can be there for free, so to speak. And this is the National Cathedral Project. Priorities, prioritization. In a Facebook post, this got me thinking. I wanted to sneak it in. Someone on social media, I'll refrain from mentioning the person, says, in 2023, will we again be surprised by flooding in Accra when the heavy rains come? Then the president and cabinet will complain about littering. We circulate videos of victims. The rains stop. We forget till next time. I'm bringing this up now in January before we get there. So we start thinking about it. We start thinking about things like this. 1,446 flood incidents between 2015 and 2020. Flooding killing 510 people between those years. Over 300 people getting injured as a result of flooding between 2015 and 2020. 54,744 houses getting destroyed alongside 139,563 acres of farmland destroyed between 2015 and 2020 on the back of flooding. On average, flooding affects 45,000 Ghanaians every year and reduces our annual GDP by 0.23%, the equivalent of $178.9 million. Debi, like I mentioned, for the first time in its existence, is now getting electricity. And about 5 million people, representing 17% of Ghana's total population, do not have access to electricity. Do not have access. 1.2 million households in Ghana do not have access to electricity. And the source is the Center for Energy Policy. Then we talk about poor roads. You can go to the Wasa-Amanfi West area, apart from the ones I've spoken of. They are taking a toll on the health of the people, causing the destruction of cars, slowing down ambulances, and putting life at risk. Where do we go from here? Mr. President, as I wrap, I saw this quote somewhere yesterday, which I would like to share with you for your reflection. It reads, when a leader does not address the problem becomes the leader, and the leader becomes the problem. We're pleading with you. We need to see something new, something purposeful, something inspiring this year. We cannot be doing the same old things or worse and yet expect different results. You know that just as well as I do. The way you started with this Akonta mining rhetoric doesn't bode well for governance, the fight against Galamsey, and purging our society, especially the political class, of impunity in acting. All the same, I, like many jaded Ghanaians, are still going to keep hope alive and pray you deliver to Ghana something much better than you did last year. If that doesn't happen, however, then God help us all, for I do not know how much more we can take in terms of the hydra-headed problems of the stifling economic situation, rampant corruption, rampaging illegal mining, issues with our educational system, and much more. My simple charge, Mr. President, do something. We don't have tomorrow. All we have is today. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to anyone, but we still have today, and we can make lemonade out of even the lemons we are served in it. The time to have acted was yesterday, but that ship has already sailed. If we miss today as well, our tomorrow will suffer, and nobody wants to see that. Let us join hands and hearts in praying for Ghana and our leaders in this year, for wisdom, knowledge, understanding, strength, and everything good. Now, our dear occupants of high public office, it is up to you, the leaders, with our support, of course, to fold your sleeves and get down to work. Because if you don't, the swords of our tongues will not spare you. Godspeed, I wish you in 2023. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. I say all these things because I am extremely passionate about Ghana and what her future, intricately tied to ours, holds. These are my blunt thoughts for you, served raw, hot, unedited, and undiluted. God richly bless our motherland and make her great and strong. Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. After sharing my blunt thoughts, well, we go blunt a bit when we talk about the sporting sector in our country. This week, we've spoken about agri, we've spoken about education, we've spoken about governance and corruption-related matters. We've touched on education. How about today we look at sports? It's also one crucial aspect of our national life. It brings pride and joy to us, especially in the areas of football, boxing, but other areas as well that we've now targeted. Tennis, swimming, all those ones, ping pong, table tennis. But what exactly should be the direction in the year 2023? Joining us for a conversation on the sporting sector, we have Charles Osei Esibe. He is Vice President, Ghana Athletics Association and President of the Ghana and Africa Arm Wrestling Federation. We also have Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, my own colleague with Joy Sports, joining the conversation. Mr. Esibe, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. And Muftau as well, good morning to you.
My pleasure to be here.
Do we have Muftau, Nabila? I see you, Muftau. When it's possible, just say hi. Please unmute, Muftau, if you can hear me. And Happy New Year to you. All right. So let me start with Mr. Esibe on this all-important subject. In terms of 2022, when you look at sports and all the... Do I hear Muftau? All right. So I'll start with Mr. Esibe. In all the different spheres... In all the different spheres of our sporting sector, from football to boxing and to everything else. We had the Olympics, you saw our performance, we went to the World Cup, among others. What for you was the result or the harvest that we reaped in terms of sports? How would you, in a minute or two, assess the sporting sector and how Ghana fared in 2022?
Well, thank you very much. A moment ago, you were talking about the fact that until we change the way we do things, we won't be able to get the best of results. I think it cuts across all spheres of life, whether you do sports, whether you're into economics, anything you do. Generally, 2022 wasn't bad, but I felt that it was a year that we could have done better. If you check the way we performed generally, I mean, from where I sit, again, as the General Secretary of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana, I oversee a number of sporting disciplines, apart from the federations I represent. Generally, I don't think it was bad, but the major problem has been preparation and lack of resources. We don't invest so much into our sport, so we don't get the best of results. The best sporting discipline for me I saw in the year under review was athletics. Athletics I tip as number one because even before we went to the Commonwealth Games, Azamati, Joe Paul, and the rest were, the guys who were flying high the flag for Ghana. So the two of them did well. Deborah Akwa also did well, and then Abigail Kwati also joined. Later in the year, amateur boxing did as proud when they went to the Commonwealth Games. Aside that, a number of the federations, rugby tries to do some activities, tennis, for instance, hosted.
And rugby is an area where we've been growing in our zone and all of that. I know some of these players and the work of, I just forget his name, the former chief executive of Kotoko, Herbert Mensah. Yes.
He's been doing some wonderful work. Badminton led by Evans, also doing great. Like I mentioned, tennis, table tennis by Mauko, Taekwondo by Paul Otulate, and the rest. Arm wrestling, for instance, worked so hard. And that's how I became the president for the Africa Confederation and the vice president of the world. So generally, it hasn't been so bad. But we handle sports as if the sporting federation or management of the sport is the property of federation heads. It is not good. I think we must change the way we do things. But generally, if you ask me, 2022, sports wasn't bad. And remember, we went to the World Cup. At some point, I had mixed feelings about our qualifications. I didn't want us to qualify because I felt that it would be a waste of money. At some point, I wanted us to qualify because I felt that we had a youthful team and they needed that platform to prepare for the future. And indeed, we saw what they did at the World Cup. But for some poor management, the team would have performed more than expectation. So it's about attitude, and we must change our attitude. Look, I've said that sports is business. And for people who support sports, it is no more sponsorship, it is investment. All of us must have a national orientation. Bro, from the leadership, from the presidency to the least, we must have a national orientation and understand that sports is business. Sports can be equal to any other sector of the economy. Remember that sports is the only product that interconnects the other sector of the economy. So you find athletes, somebody like Odate Lamte, for all the money he made from football, he's invested in education. He's invested in agri. As Samuel said, why can't we do same? Now, all these athletes have signed up investing their money either into entertainment or education. The athletes have a lawyer, they have doctors, they have artisans who put up their structures for them. So sports is huge. This simple picture, let us do a research and look at the net worth of Serena Williams. Let us do a research and look at the net worth of Usain Bolt. I've always said that once we are able to get this picture, then the national orientation will change. It will come from the top to down, the presidency to the least, the parents and everybody involved in sports. So if you ask me again, 2022 was good. We could have done better. What matters most is for attitude and an attitudinal change.
You speak of an attitudinal change. So I just want you to be a little more specific. What were our key gains and what were our key losses? For example, you speak about the Black Stars. You perhaps wouldn't have wanted us to go because we had such a youthful team, and maybe you felt it would be whitewashed, but we have built something. It's something we can build on, we can progress from. What were our key losses and gains? And again, you spoke about the fact that we could have done more, but for some poor management. Can you be a little more specific in these two areas?
So, boxing, for instance, we went into the Commonwealth Games, and at some point, we're told that two of our athletes were sick, and for that reason, they couldn't fight in the finals. I mean, this is unacceptable. We had a medical team. What kind of checks did we do on these athletes before they left Ghana? Even apart from that, I mean, what kind of preparation did we go through? So when you want to prepare for international competition, preparation includes dieting, preparation includes medication, preparation includes training proper. How did we do all these things for us to get to that stage where we're told that the athlete or the boxer was sick, and for that reason, he couldn't compete in the finals? Look at what happened to our relay team. I mean, I'm part of the Ghana Athletics Association, and I feel sad that this happened. But I am saying that these were errors we could have avoided. These are things we have preached over and over again. Who is noting them down? Who is taking action on these things? Now, boxers, the amateur boxers, for instance, there were a couple of times that they needed support to play international friendlies or to play in competitions in preparation for the Commonwealth Games. Athletics say, now normally what do happen is that the more you compete, the more experience you gain. So we must have a budget. We must register our athletes, whether boxers, whether table tennis players, whether tennis players. We must have a structure and a budget. Once you have that structure and a budget and you play for it, you will reap. Go to Winneba. We used to have, in fact, we do have a sports college. We do have a tennis court there. What do we use these facilities for? Look at the Azuma Nelson complex. For years, we have been renovating with our mouths. I'm sorry, but we are not a serious nation. What is important is that all of us must know that sports is lucrative. I've said this severally. Sports is lucrative. If we learn how to manage or create content and manage them, if we learn how to put the sports products together, people like Joy TV, institutions like Joy TV will partner, and then we all share the benefits. We must learn packaging. We must learn how to prepare the athletes and manage them to become top-level performers. It's a general problem.
Right.
It's a general problem. And we must change. And normally, we wait for 2-3 months to major competitions before we begin to discuss how we are going to get there. Even catering. Where elsewhere, people prepare 6, 8, 12 years ahead of major tournaments and major events. We have no planning, and we have the best brains in this country. Unfortunately, we're lazy in planning. And I think we must get leaders who understand that, look, sports will take a lot of young men from the street. Bro, look at the guys who rob with motorbike. One of the most lucrative sports in the world is motor racing. Why don't we get smart to bring all these guys into motor racing instead of encouraging them to rob? They rob with motorbikes. Why don't we introduce motor racing? So we must have a plan.
When you talk of motor racing, though, I mean these not Formula One, but these racing, the MotoGP and others that are carried out across the world. They come with a certain level of infrastructure. They come with a certain level of investment. I mean, you don't just get up and do it. And why I'm bringing that up, we're also complaining about investment. We're also complaining about investment in boxing, which in itself has not been what it should be. In even football, not at the national level, because we've seen the investment, but at the coach level, for example. Many years back in the 90s, we were feeding on the coach system right from the junior leagues and all of that. All of that has fizzled out. So people will also counter and tell you that we can expend that money in other priority areas, in boxing and in football, where we also need funding.
Well, I disagree. Football has been given that support the nation or the federation deserves. What we must do at some point is to autopilot football because it already has a traffic for sponsorship. It has the eyes already. So people run to football to support them. The little national resources should be pushed into disciplines like athletics, arm wrestling, boxing, and all that, so that they can also grow. Because football has become our number one sporting discipline. You mentioned the coach football. I am particularly happy with what the current FA leadership is doing. I see them trying to bring back coach football. I see them trying to bring back the women's game. But coach football was affected by the introduction of the academies. And whoever says that the academies haven't helped, maybe doesn't understand the game. We just have to manage it well. But for everything we need to do, if we do not invest, we cannot expect any results. If you want to reap, you must sow. From athletics to swimming, we must put in money. Look, is it not interesting that we are surrounded by water? Unfortunately, we don't have quality swimmers in this country. Sometimes you look at your comparative advantage and then you play to the sport. If you go to Mali, it's arm wrestling and football primarily. If we come to Ghana, we should be able to identify our top 10 or top 15 disciplines and begin to invest in them. Again, it is not just about government. I have said that we must put together an engagement or a forum to let people understand that sports is business. Assuming that you are the manager of Usain Bolt, and Usain Bolt is net worth over $200 million, and yours is just about 20 or 15%. Can you imagine how much is coming to you? These are the numbers we should put together. Just assume that you are the manager or the agent for Serena Williams. Considering the appearance fee she takes, considering the winning bonuses and all she takes, if you invest in such a talent, enormous physical cash comes to you. If you are an institution, or let's say a company, and you have an association with these athletes as brand ambassadors or as product ambassadors, it pushes your business. So we must let people understand that it is not just about government. I like what Snit has done with the Emporium. Unfortunately, they didn't do a lot of consultation. But currently, it is the only sporting facility we have. And pressure has moved to the Emporium. We are planning Africa Games. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to come up to speed with the infrastructure, that we're trying to put up for the games. As a country, it was good when we decided to host the Africa Games. I was happy because we're going to put up structures, infrastructure that will later become beneficial to the local federations or the home-based federations. Unfortunately, we don't know where we're going. But I am confident that if we're able to host the Africa Games, beyond the Africa Games, 5, 6, 7 years, Ghana sports will be on a high pedestal. Ghana sports will take Ghana map or Ghana flag to the plan is that any Ghanaian athlete who performs within the Africa Games will move to become a high-performing athlete in the next 4 or 6 years. So I'm happy we're going to host the Africa Games. But, bro, we must have a quality sports policy. We must have quality sports managers. I mean, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the National Sports Authority, for instance. One thing I have told them severally is that the people we find leading federations, the over 48 or 55 federations today, a number of them, apologies, are not professionals. Some are there by virtue of the fact that they have played a sport before. Some are there by virtue of the fact that they have some interest for the sport. But it is important that we build the capacity of these federation heads so that we all can understand what marketing is.
Right.
So that we all can understand what packaging, creating content is. So we can come to Joy and say that, look, I have athletics event with the tertiary institution. institutions. And you know how big it is if Gusa is organizing athletics event. And
Right.
I'm sure Joy TV would want to take advantage of that. So I would even say that I'm going to look for sponsorship. So we share. So capacity building is key. If the federations are not resourceful to do it, I feel that as government, from the National Sports Authority and the ministry, Africa today, when it comes to facilities, they are uncomparable. You can compare. And even when it comes, why can't we set out on that agenda so we can bring development and events into our country? The orientation must change so that
Right.
the teacher will not. I mean, these days, the teacher will call you and say that Ubano Pagrodo, without understanding what sports can bring. People have completed the university and they are jobless. If you go to America after high school or college, you go pro and you do sports.
In fact, most of the colleges have sponsorship packages by way of scholarships for students with sporting talent. You know, it's very commonplace there. And a lot of them who make it to the pro level go through that system.
Unfortunately, we have scholarship programs here and we give to family and friends. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm being blunt. We have quality scholarship programs. We give to family and friends. People travel abroad and they don't come again. How much of that scholarship programs can we give to sports? The trainable athletes, so we can take them to Europe and America for them to go and become future champions for Ghana. It is important that we get a change. We need a strategy. People have come and gone. We talk about strategy, we talk about policy document, but what is the implementation plan? Who is taking that action? Do we understand what we are doing? But what is important is that we must get the whole Ghana to understand that sports, if you do sports, it's just like being a medical doctor. Because the athletes are richer than the doctors. It's a fact. The athletes are richer than the lawyers. It's a fact. Let's have that orientation so that when you go to school or when you complete and it doesn't work and you have some sports talent, you can take up to that.
Thanks for those initial comments. You've got me thinking about a whole range of issues. But let me bring in my colleague Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, who joins us via the phone lines. Muftau, I hope the connection is better. Happy New Year to you. Hello, Muftau.
Happy New Year.
Anyway, it's the first time. I was going to say when you joined the Zoom connection earlier that it was the first time I was seeing you, and that didn't pan out. But we've started the conversation already on sports and how we fared in 2020. What, in a few minutes, would be your assessment of Ghana and how we fared in the sporting area in 2022? I'm talking about football. We went to the World Cup. At least we got a win over South Korea. I'm talking about athletics. We're in Tokyo. We had the other leagues that we competed in. And we can also get into the bit about that unfortunate, I'll get there, incident where we were disqualified simply because it wasn't mentioned that one of our athletes was going to be replaced. How did we fare last year?
On a whole, I would give the success story of sports for 2022 at 60%.
60%?
60% because I think that most of the sporting federations were able to up their game. For example, you spoke about Ghana's participation in the athletics competitions. For instance, the World Athletics Championship, the quartet made it to the final. About 14 athletes were taken to the Commonwealth Games. About 13 of them made it to the grand finale. We had 2 of them competing in the final of the long jump. That is Abigail Quatin and then Rosie Bois. They made it to the grand finale. Then that was the high jump, rather. Then the long jump, there was Deborah Aqua, who also made it to the final and won the medal. Benjamin Akakpo was in the final as well. There was Joseph Amoa, who became the first Ghanaian athlete in the 200 meters to win a medal for the country since 1974. So on that score, I think that the athletics team did a very good job. We cannot forget about the fact that the quartet that was considered one of the favorites to win the final of the 4x100 competition got disqualified because of a technical issue where they didn't communicate to the organizers of the competition that they were going to make changes to how the team was going to set up. But you would also need to give some credit to the Ghana Athletics Association because the disqualification of the team could have affected the technical team. However, you would notice that the technical team, they were still able to see through these boys and girls to be able to win some medals. So on that score, I would say that it was a success for the Athletics Association. Then you come to boxing. In the boxing arena, we went to the Commonwealth Games again. How many medals did we come back with? 3 medals. That's a very good number in terms of the boxing discipline. We've all seen the rise of Samuel Cojo since he participated in the Tokyo Olympics in 2021. He's been on a certain trajectory. We just need to continue. It was incredible in as much as we had our expectations in terms of without a single win, but they were able to recover to qualify for the World Cup 2 months later, and they did it against no opposition than Nigeria, a team that had, per many people, had more individual quality than the Black Stars, considering the fact that they were one of the best teams in the African Cup of Nations, though they also exited at the round of 16 stage of the competition. But qualifying for the World Cup alone is a success for me. The only unfortunate area for me in terms of football would be the failure of the Black Queens to qualify for the African Women's Cup of Nations, the failure of the Black Princesses, the failure of the Black Maidens. All these teams were not successful in their attempts to qualify for major competitions. But one thing that the FA will tell you is that it's a gradual process. Though I sometimes disagree with them because of their haphazard way of changing the technical direction of all the national teams. They appear to be recycling the appointment of technical heads for the various national teams. If you want to succeed, there must be a certain consistency. But I do think that the sporting federations were able to pull their weight. And I think that if we are able to have a proper plan, a proper sports policy, a proper structure for the governance of sports in the country, we'll be doing some great things. I didn't even talk about hockey. I didn't even talk about table tennis and then lawn tennis.
And those are areas, Muftar, where in recent years our returns have been few and far between. I remember the former president, may his soul rest in peace, Evans Atta Mills's passion for hockey. We set up, is it the Theodora Oko?
Yeah, hockey pitch, yeah.
Hockey pitch and all of that. In times gone by, we were really good on the continent when it came to hockey. In ping pong, at a point in time, we were rubbing shoulders with the Egyptians, with the Nigerians, which are some of the biggest teams. As for basketball, it's not exactly gone down that road. Maybe hockey hasn't gone down by that much. But when you look at some of these disciplines over the years, would you say we've been able to hold the standards or maintain the standards that we had before?
I think we've rather declined over the years instead of growing. Because just like you cited the example of the hockey team, if about 7, 8, 9 years ago, or even, let's say, some 10, 11, 12 years ago, we were able to rub shoulders with the likes of Egypt, with the likes of Algeria, Morocco, because these are the teams.
South Africa.
These are some of the strongest teams when it comes to the African continent. And I have covered loads of hockey competitions at the hockey pitch. And most of the times you watch a Ghanaian team coming up against an Egyptian team, And in the end, it is a mismatch. Why have we not developed that much? Is there something we are doing that others are doing better? If others are doing better, then let's look for the best possible ways that we can learn from these countries and also improve our sport. So, for instance, just 7 years ago, you had the Comoros Football Federation engaging the Ghana Football Association to help them in their football development and structure. And 7 years down the lane, this Comoros team caught us at the African Cup of Nations and beat us. So what have we not done right over the years in terms of how we want to be able to compete in the African continent and also in the world? There are certain things I personally believe that we've not been deliberate, that would go out there and compete and win honors for the country. It is not done that way. If you are determined to invest in sports, then you should be determined to release the resources to ensure that the sporting federations are able to groom talent. Let me just cite a quick example. I recall, because I've covered many athletics championships across the country, from Tamale to Takrade to Secondary to Cape Coast to Kumasi. Because the Ghana Athletics Association had a competition called Ghana Athletics Association Championship. It was organized 4 times every year from Tamale, Secondary, Kumasi, Accra. This was a plan put together by the Professor Francis Dodo administration to ensure that they had a plan for local athletes to be able to develop. Because most of these athletes, when their season ends, there's nothing for them to do. And an athlete even failing to train for a week, it can affect the performance of the athlete. I also do recall that this Ghana Athletics Association also had a plan where they camped athletes for 6 months. And if you're going to camp athletes for 6 months, it's going to cost you lots of money. So if you do not have the resources to be able to develop athletes, then you're never going to go out there and come up against a Ferdinand Omanyala, and come out against a Marcel Jacob, and come up against a Fred Kelly, and come up against Eric Knighton, expecting yourself to be able to win. There should be a certain plan in terms of how we want to win. And if that plan does not exist, Benjamin would always struggle.
So looking at the points that you've enumerated, it appears 2022, like you say, you would score us 60% in terms of our performance overall, but there are so many gray areas that we ought to be looking at, from table tennis, as you have mentioned, to rugby, as Mr. Sibe has mentioned, to hockey and all of that. And of course, as we spread our wings and engage in these, that would also mean a bigger medal haul when we go out there, when we're participating in the Olympics, in the Commonwealth Games, and in the All-Africa Games and others. But then again, on the back of the same point that you have made, I cannot help, even as you speak about sponsorship and resources, to contemplate 2013, when Ignatius Geza, for example, is it long jump or triple jump hero, left us. There was another lady whose name I've forgotten, who also left us. Many of our athletes have jumped ship, bailed out on us because of these self-same issues. How bad is that issue, that problem? I'll put it to Osei, but I want to find out from you first, as a sporting analyst. What do you see in that area, Muftau?
Ben, one of the things that we are often made to understand is that there should be a certain rapport with these athletes.
Okay.
If you have a rapport with an athlete, in fact, even if you procrastinate your support for the athlete would continue to listen. But there comes a point where every individual gets it to the limit. And if you get to the limit, I'm not sure you'll be willing to cross that limit.
Maybe in 2014, our footballers got to their limit, and that's why we had to fly money to Brazil.
Well, it was quite an interesting story, because the 2014 one was quite dramatic, because they kept getting promises, it will come today, it will come tomorrow, it will come over tomorrow, and it never came. So yeah, indeed they got to their limit. That's why they decided to go on that tangent. But I think that have we built a certain relationship with athletes to the extent that even when we disappoint these athletes, they feel that they are still being recognized by the country. So I was in Oregon with the athletes. And in fact, I've got loads of relationship with many athletes because that's a key thing. If you don't have a relationship with any athlete, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to get your job done. Most of these athletes often feel that they do not get the support that they need to be able to succeed. That is why when they are done with school, I remember having a conversation with one athlete who was telling me that, Muftao, if I graduate from school right now, I do not have anything to do. So what I'm going to do now is to be able to work. And I cannot combine work and training. If you cannot combine work and training, how do you think that athlete would be in a better shape to be able to compete and do well for you and I, who always want these athletes to go out there and win? And we are the very people who would say
and in
that,
the meantime, Muftao, just to add, in the meantime, their compatriots in other countries are training full-time. You expect part-time, training to give you the results that full-time training with all the equipment, with all the incentivization, with all the motivation will get. Obviously not.
And even one athlete said that, I remember during the Commonwealth Games when the team had a very poor start, one athlete, Abigail Poatin, said, if you have not invested in an area, don't expect medal. Because we have not invested in these athletes to expect medals from them. A local athlete, Roche Bois, a student of the University of Cape Coast, for instance, at the Africa World Athletics Championship, she won gold. She's a local athlete. She did a jump of 1.81 meters, if my memory serves me right. In the Commonwealth Games, she did 1.79. This is a local athlete, very young girl. I've known this girl since 2018. If we are able to invest in this athlete, the first international exposure she had, she was winning gold for us, which was the Africa Games 2019 that happened in Morocco, Rabat. Benjamin, if you have athletes of this potential and the athlete gives her all, but in the end, what is required of you and I to be able to let these athletes succeed, we don't bring it. And they'll get to the point where they feel that it is not worth it. Sacrificing myself to compete and run on the flag of Ghana and play football as a Ghanaian ambassador. That is why you would have players get to some point and say that I'm going to retire from the national team. We have one right now. That Fiorentina midfielder, Alfred Duncan, he told us he's not going to play in the national team again. We've heard many stories about certain players who have said they're not going to play in the national team again. You started the example of Ignacio Geza, saying that he was going to switch nationality, was it to the Netherlands?
To the Netherlands. Right. To the Netherlands.
Yes, so we must appreciate these athletes and give them the support they need. Trust me, I'm not one who would say that we should always rely on government to be able to support these athletes to succeed.
Right.
But if government also makes a promise, say, go and do ABC and come back and we'll give you $2,000 or $5,000, and the athletes come back and they will have to chase for their money. If you know you didn't have the money, you should have made a promise in the first place. Because there are many athletes who are still pained that they competed for the country. What was due them was never given to them. We can talk about even the Black Queen winning the Africa Games 2015.
And I was even going to
story.
I was even going to mention that it's not just in Ghana, because sometimes even on the continent, I recall the very first championship for women's, teams, clubs, where the Hazakis ladies went, and you remember that issue as well. They were promised some money. The money never came, and then I think Hazakis ladies took it up, and now it's being made to seem as though. But and that is what part of why I feel sports is not progressing, because even when at the continental level, some promises are made, they are not fulfilled. But hold for me, Muftau, some of the points you've made are crucial, and I want to run them by Mr. Esibe, Vice President of the Ghana Athletics Association, and then President in Ghana and Africa of the Arm Wrestling Federation. Mr. Esibe, I want to find out from you. So what then is the state of funding of athletics in Ghana compared to football, compared to other disciplines? Let's focus on that. And Muftau made the point about building a rapport with some of these athletes. What is the rapport like? Because, again, I call to mind that Ignatius Geza at the time, I am sure he's the one, either he or someone else, mentioned that when he got injured, no one from our grouping, our association, reached out to him. He was left literally on his own to find his way of feeding, to find his way of recovering. And you know how expensive those can be if you require surgery and all of that. What is the state of the athletics in terms of funding and in terms of how you relate to these athletes?
I think it's interesting the way Sal rated his relationship with athletics, and I'm happy. He would recall and he would attest that the current leadership of athletics, it started from Professor Francis Dodu, really do have a relationship, solid one, of course, with the athletes. But for the current leadership, a number of the athletes would have taken a decision to go compete for other countries. It's not been easy managing them. You know, when you don't have resources, you look like a lying father. When they come to you with their concerns, you need to continue engaging them. While you try to pull resources either from partners or from government. So it's not been easy, but I can confirm that we do have a great relationship with the athletes of today. Even the ones who are coming up from the Gusa level, we have a solid relationship with them. And it plays a major role. Sometimes when the athletes have gotten to that crucial moment where they have to take that decision, they look at the relationship they have with you, and then maybe take a step back. So relationship is key, and I can confirm that we do have that with them.
How difficult is it, though? You've spoken about part of the relationship issue. How difficult is it sustaining it? Because look at Benjamin Azamati. I know he runs somewhere in the United States. He used the educational system, and he's using the resources in another country to deliver for us. It's very easy for such a country. Well, the United States doesn't have any shortage of athletic talent. But elsewhere, it would have been very easy to let such people run or compete for other countries. So how are you able to do it? How do you sustain it?
Joe Paul Amwa, for instance, completed school, just like Abigail Kwati. And, they were doing so well because they were using the school's facilities. Now they have completed. What it means is that they have to get their own accommodation. They have to be paying their professional coach. They have to be buying their own vitamins. They have to pay for training facilities and all that. So if, as a nation, we do not help them, then it becomes difficult. It opens doors for people to lure them into competing for them. So it is either for the athlete to go pro and look for money, or when they are lured by other countries, they move. It is why we feel that, look, if we're going to spend just about 3,000 to 5,000 on our prospect athletes over a period of time, so we have France ahead of us, how are we even preparing to make sure that we're able to put this team together for France? We have Africa Games 2023. What are we doing to put this team together? So it is not just about the Athletics Association. Yes, we have engaged partners. We continue to engage people to support us in taking care of these athletes. The little support we get from World Athletics and occasional from the GOC, it cannot sustain the way we want to manage these athletes. Muftao mentioned Rose Animaya Boa, Amwanimaya Boa, who studies at the UCC. Won't it be prudent by now for us to get some quality facility for her to train either here or take her outside? Man, it has not been easy. Normally, it gets to a point where, the continuous engagement doesn't work anymore. And they are lured with solid packages. If you go behind the scenes and you check what people lure them with, you realize that you can't even match it. But they don't need gold from us. They need just that little support. Just that little support.
So you're basically saying, Mr. Sibe, that it's not that the patriotism of these athletes is in question, no. But sometimes we disappoint them for so long, and others come through with mouth-watering packages. And why not pay the pa? So they fall for them. Right, but then that brings me to the question. I posed it earlier. You've still not addressed it. What then is the state of the coffers of the Ghana Athletics Association, and what are your expectations from the state, from government?
Well, if I was to be an employee, then I'll say it's hand to mouth. The little annual grant we get from the World Athletics, normally they will bring you the grant and say it is either for a specific training or program. So we're unable to say. Now, what we also do is that if we want to prepare one or two athletes for special programs, we'll write to World Athletics and say that, look, we want to train coaches. And then they'll bring you about $3,000 or $4,000. If you have an athlete somewhere that you need special support, then you can engage World Athletics. Apart from that, what they do is that for the major World Athletics events, they will take care of your travel ticket and all that. So Ghana Athletics as a federation, we continue to package our products and brand. We have engaged a number of institutions to believe in the product we have. We have an empty coffers. We have often fallen on the Ministry of Youth and Sports for support, but you and I know that they support a number of federations, over 48 of them. So you can't always get what you want. Last year, for instance, they supported us for the World Relay. There were other programs we wanted to, take part in. Unfortunately, we couldn't. Now, let me cite, you asked an earlier question, and I'll cite an example of Nigeria before I answer that question. Toby, there's a lady in Nigeria.
Toby Amusan.
Thank you. Toby, it was a company in Nigeria.
Is it the recent one who won a gold medal or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
She's a triple chase runner.
Right.
Headler.
So it was a company in Nigeria that decided to invest in her training. So she moved to the States, and the company was responsible for her training. $20,000 every month.
Wow.
How much is $20,000 for the top companies in this country? I mean, how much is $20,000 for government?
So that's a challenge we can throw as well to corporate Ghana.
Look, Ben, our athletes don't need $20,000. If indeed we want to plan for France or Africa Games, I have said this and I'll say it again. Let's get the Ghana embassy in the US. Find these athletes an apartment, quality one, being paid by Ghana government. And then give them some small support stipends. So they work small. They work, let's say, 15 hours a week. They train, eat, and sleep. So they are not bothered by accommodation, how to pay bills and stuff. The Ghana embassy, we all know, Ben, you know, and I know, that the best thing Ghana has today is not even the Black Stars. What we have is the relay team. And if indeed we have Africa Games coming, if indeed we have France coming, this is the time we must invest nothing less than $200,000 in our guys, and they will bring us that result. You asked why sports or the other sporting disciplines are declining. Look, fact is that days when we were winning so much, there were fewer countries playing sports, and that is fact. It's a fact. The second point too is that those who have begun to play sports have done things differently and scientifically. We have not. The third point, I think Muftau tried addressing it. In the past, federations will send their budgets to the NSA through the ministry, and then it goes to government. Then the major thing I remember happened was national championships for almost every federation, and it was being sponsored by government. Now, if you want to travel for West Africa Championship, Africa Championship, or whatever, that little support will start coming from government. But between 2005, or let's say 4, till today, when we decided to invest every money into the Black Stars, the federations began suffering. It is why you can't even see quality and well-hyped tennis national championship, athletics national championship, a quality boxing event where all our boxers will come together, we select the best players to represent our nation. Even football, anytime we're going to put the Black Stars team together, we'll play northern and southern sector games. And then out of that, we select our team. There is no quality selection criteria. A number of the sporting disciplines today, apart from athletics, football, and arm wrestling, are academies.
And especially as you talk about a selection criteria, I cannot help but bring in the bit about football teams and others. I think basically in boxing and the rest it's not so prominent. But when it comes to football especially, and I'll address this question to both you and Muftau very briefly. Are we getting the selections right? Because it appears there's a whole lot of cronyism, nepotism, even politics at play. What exactly is going on? What do you know that you can share with us? Briefly, a minute each, and we'll move on to other subjects. Mr. Sibe?
Well, you want to talk about selection. You know, I'm a leader, and sometimes I am careful the way I speak about this thing. But I feel that if we want to do quality selection, we must get the best to represent the country. If the best is in Wale Wale, let's go there and get the best. You know, earlier I talked about comparative advantage. So in Ghana, for instance, if you want to get quality boxers, go to the north or Bono. If you want to get quality hockey players, you go to Central and Accra. You don't even go to Ashanti. If you want to get quality swimmers, you get them from here. Football is nationwide. And you and I know that the Northerners play quality football. The people south here play quality football. So we must have a selection criteria. Sometimes it is not just about numbers or representation. It's about quality. So if the chunk of the quality will come from one zone, we must allow it. But also remember, in selecting teams, a number of things come to play. Discipline, interest, and all. So I'm very careful talking about selection. But what is important is that any athlete we select to represent the country should be ready to bring that quality results we require or desire.
Okay. Muftau, quickly on selections.
Just like Charles mentioned, it's quite a delicate thing because quality is relative. What you see as quality would be different to another person. But it is critical that you assemble the best of athletes. When I say athletes, I mean the entire sporting space. Be it if you're a footballer, you're an athlete. If you're a runner, you're an athlete. If you're a hockey player, you're an athlete. So I'm just using the word athlete to generalize. It is important that you assemble the best of athletes, in your opinion, would do well for you. So, for instance, say we are assembling the best under-17 national team to represent Ghana in the upcoming, say, under-17 West Africa Championship. And we decide that we want players from all the clubs that are in Ghana. So each club should send us their best player. So the club decides to select which player they think is the best within their team. All of them to assemble at Pram and compete for the technical team to make a decision. Trust me, there's a player, in your opinion, Ben, is so skillful, but the coach is not looking out for a skillful player. The coach is looking out for a player who provides him certain results. He might not have the skill, but he's a clinical finisher. Meanwhile, you also think this guy is so skillful to the extent that he should be given an opportunity to play. So sometimes when we get to this point, I always think that those who have been tasked to lead our national team, they should have the responsibility of assembling the best possible athletes that we've got in the country. But let's not forget that these people cannot do it alone.
Right. I think sometimes...
That's why it is always important that people recommend. And trust me, Kwesi Appiah recently mentioned that when he called up Mohamed Kudus to come to the national team, people had issues because he was assembling young players. We all know Kwesi Appiah has got an eye for young talent because he's brought out the likes of Christian Achu, Ajapon, then there's Mohamed Kudus, Gideon Mensah. All these players were brought to the national team by Kwesi Appiah.
Right.
If Kwesi Appiah has an eye for sporting talent, then Kwesi Appiah should be considered someone who will scout talents for us. So instead of us asking the team, oh, you bring us your best players, the GFA can decide that we want Kwesi Appiah to go around the country and assemble talents for us.
And that's a very important point you make, something that we could avert our attention to, even as he has expressed interest in taking on the Black Stars once more, if given the opportunity. As we conclude the conversation in the next few minutes with your final thoughts, I'd just like to find out, even as you reflect on what you would like to see in 2023, there are a few interesting things for me. Mr. Sibe says, the best thing Ghana has today is the relay team, 4x100. Do you agree, Muftau? You agree, okay. And then we're also looking at the performance of our Chan team in Egypt, where they were beating Al Ali and, others. And then going back to the bit about boxing very briefly. The Cubans have started training their women. In the past, they've not done that. They're doing that and they're going hard. Until recently, they were the country with the highest medal haul in that category for men, I think, in the Olympics. I saw what you put together with, is it Najat, the 11-year-old boxing phenom?
Najat Loko.
What is your reflection on these and how can we do better in 2023? And that is for both of you in some 2 minutes, please.
Ben, 2023, I am not sure we are a country that often learn lessons from our failures. If we are, then this conversation wouldn't happen in the first place. Because, trust me, I think these conversations are becoming a bit mundane.
Right.
Simply because we know the failures, but we do not provide a solution. We know that we need to invest in talent. We need to go out there and unearth talent. But we are seated in the comfort of our home and only get up to assemble athletes to go and represent us. It is not going to happen. We know that we need to camp athletes for, say, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. But there is this hymn that we all think, there's no money. And the no money syndrome is not going to go away from the sporting space anytime soon. Like I mentioned, I am not one who would always say that government should take care of everything. Government cannot do it alone. And in fact, the budget that is often given to the Ministry of Youth and Sport, that money is so small to the extent that, like Charles mentioned, if you have like 43 or 48 different sporting federations, and you have the Ghana Football Association alone coming into a chunk of that money, then what would the other federations do? I think that there should be a certain responsibility on corporate institutions. And this brings me to the point Charles mentioned about Toby and Musan. In fact, I had a privilege of speaking to Toby when I met her in the World Athletics Championship. And I've spoken to other journalists too, because in that World Athletics Championship, the Nigerian athletes were so good. It was not just Toby. Toby was the headliner because she broke a world record and set a world record. That's why she became the headliner. But there were other young athletes within the Nigerian setup who were doing so well. Guess what? The Nigerian sports ministry set up a committee. This committee was staffed to put together a report of which sporting areas that government should be ready to invest in, right? When the committee came out with their report, they ensured that they got corporate institutions in the country to take up the responsibility of at least one athlete.
Right, so that feeds into what Mr. Sibe was saying.
A corporate institution in Ghana decides that we are going to take up roads. So in the next 5 years, we want to invest in roads because we have a certain target for her.
Right.
In the next 5 years, if Rose is winning gold for us at the World Athletics Championship, we have achieved our goal.
Right.
But if we are not able to even get the corporate institutions to come on board and support us, and we always want to rely on government to do it, government will always tell us there's no money. So this is the point where the sporting federations themselves to support football. Why can't they do the same for other federations?
Muftau, we'll have to sew it up here. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, my colleague with Joy Sports. Mr. Sibe, your final thoughts.
Well, proposal for 2023, one has been tabled by Muftau. Corporate institutions taking up athletes, not just athletics, but athletes in general. The other thing, you and I know, do you have an idea how much is invested in football tournament for Black Stars? I'm sure you do. So my proposal, and you can challenge me to this, all the top federations put together, government must find $3 million only. It's just about 1/3 or a quarter of how much is invested in a tournament for Black Stars. Government should find $3 million for our top federations. Let's find a fund manager to manage these funds. Let's get the top federations to bring their program of activities, both development and competitions. And I bet you, if the federations get that $3 million, managed by a funds manager, together with the programs from the federations, between now and France 2024 Olympics, you and I will see the results Ghana will bring. Only $3 million for the top federations, not one federation. And let's find a fund manager to check the programs of these federations, both development and competition. And we will get that result by the end of 2024.
Thank you, Charles Osei-Sibe, for joining the conversation. We're grateful. And he is Vice President, Ghana Athletics Association, and President of the Ghana and Africa Arm Wrestling Federations. He joined us together with Muftau for the conversation. Before we take a break and return and tell you about Esports Africa Week, water is life. It regulates your body temperature, keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. And guess what? We have the perfect sizes for all occasions, 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, 1.5 liters for those who always want more. And we've also introduced our special 19-liter jars for offices and homes. Now, all you need to do is just stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. So come on, grab a bottle of Awake and get quality hydration. Awake purified drinking water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center, and that is indeed heartwarming. It's produced by Casa Preco. For bulk purchases. Just call 0262 351 251. We take a break and return with more excitement on the AM show. Stay. Welcome back on the AM show. We serve you more sports, but a very distinctive kind of sports now. Accra Esports Week is Ghana's biggest esports experience, which brings video gamers, industry leaders, gaming communities, hubs, clubs, brands, retailers, and stakeholders together. One place, imagine that. It's 1 week of video gaming exhibitions, demonstrations, seminars, workshops, and socialization. Well, joining us on the show to tell us a lot more about it, we have Maximus Ametogo. Familiar name, right? He's an event manager, Accra Esports Week. We also have Kwesi Hayford, President, Esports Association Ghana. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Very good morning to you too.
Let's start the talk with those who may not know anything about the Accra Esports Week. Maximus, let's start from you. What is the? How did this even come to light? How was it born?
Right. So we have been organizing a lot of community esports events, and this time around we want to consolidate the ecosystem by bringing gamers, stakeholders, the hubs, the brands, those who retail gadgets, and all the other value chain in the esports ecosystem together.
Right.
So that's why we want to, introduce the event at the beginning of the year, so it becomes an opener for the rest of the year for people to know the activities happening within the esports space, which is growing very fast in Ghana.
What is esports though?
So electronic sports, so that's what it means. So a virtual version of traditional sports.
Okay, so we're talking football and everything in between.
Racing,
basketball, hockey,
boxing. So you have boxing, golf, pool and table tennis and all of it.
For you, Kwesi, how big is the space in Ghana? Because yes, some of us grew up playing Charlie back then. Sega,
Yeah.
football.
Sega.
Hey, my whole area. Mortal Kombat and all of this.
Yeah.
But at the point we let the gaming slide because Charlie, we had to focus on. But this is big time in other countries.
Exactly.
How big is this in Ghana? What's the landscape like?
Well, I would say that, as you rightly said, beginning, video gaming has existed in Ghana from very young age. The ecosystem has grown from where it was gaming hubs within ghettos and stuff like that, and even at homes. When you travel, your parents travel, you ask for one thing, a console. But that has been in the homes and the commercial space. But technology has propelled it so much so that now we have communities in each of the games. Huge community. When we talk about PUBG, which is played in teams, have about 20 teams in Ghana, times 4 of that. That is huge. These are professional esports teams playing. So they have team managers, they have team captain, and all these...
Like in a regular
just
setting.
like in the regular setting. And now even teams in Ghana are registered business entities. So you could see the trajectory in which the space is going. First, we used to play in our homes, but now we've opened the space up for people to come out and play.
You know what this reminds me of? If
Yeah.
But now it's so commercial.
It's commercial, yes.
And that's where this is also heading.
That is exactly the trajectory in which football took, where we used to play on the fields barefooted. Now there are the facilities there in Ghana now. And everybody is looking at Sub-Saharan Africa, they talk about Ghana.
Wow. Are we that big? Because I know the Nigerians are also big.
Yes.
The South Africans are really big. How big really are we?
We are big in
space?
strategies.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ghana, we are very forthgoing, and we make do with anything that we find in our hands to do. That is what Ghana is. Like, we are a pivot for where every idea that we find, we want to make it happen.
Maximus, how well positioned are we in that space? He says we are strategically, yes, we're out there, but maybe when it comes to the numbers, when it comes to the hardcore investment, for example, I don't know what the state is. Where do we find ourselves in that respect?
So last year we spent $62 million subscribing to video games. Dollars in Ghana alone.
Yeah.
So individuals, hubs,
buying
groups.
games and then subscribing, buying.
$62 million.
Yes, according to digital report. So that's a huge number. It's even more than movie music streaming in Ghana. Music streaming is $5 million. So not close to.
Look at the difference.
Yes.
In fact, globally,
$5 million for music streaming and on gaming alone, $62 million.
Yes.
What goes into the $62 million you are telling me?
So you buy the games, you buy
the console,
points, the consoles, all the things you're buying online, they are all part of the 62 million, right? Even globally, video gaming is bigger than movie, music, and streaming times 2. So it's a huge industry that we are not looking into. Unlike movies where they produce the content for you, in the gaming, you become part of the content. You become the characters, you become the actors. You create your own scenes by how you play and the levels you play to. And you can have other people joining the scene. So you can have like a cast of players within the game. So that's what the metaverse and things that are coming at, the same gaming concept that they are running. So it's very huge, and it has all this value chain from those who construct the story, write the story, do visual, and do the artwork, build the characters, animate the characters, put the characters into the story, build the environment, do the animation, publish it, promote it, and then those who play, and then those who organize events for people to play. So it's a long chain of that industry that people are not looking at, and we want to, project Accra as the hub for esports.
Do we have what it takes to do that? Because, like I mentioned, the Nigerians, the South Africans, this is just 2 of them. I know up north in Northern Africa as well, they're pretty big on that. Egypt, Algeria, Morocco.
Yes.
They are very big on this. How can we stamp our authority on this space? Because oftentimes we're laggards.
Yeah.
When something comes, we are not. There's something in marketing called first mover advantage.
Yeah.
We are often the ones at the tail end trying to catch up.
When it's done and dusted.
How can we get there?
So that's what we are doing with this initiative. So we have the French countries pushing a lot because it's big in France. So we have the Paris Games Week, and they get over 50,000 attendants alone. Now, this year, the presidents want to champion it. So President Macron wants to champion esports in France.
Wow.
That is his initiative.
The president has committed to this.
And the Saudis
the Saudis.
Strategy for 10
Exactly.
years.
Indian just declared esports as part of their traditional scope of things. So they are recognizing esports. Now, FIFA, we have started playing FIFA. So most of the local games are verified by FIFA itself to be esports teams in Ghana. We have that. We help GFA organize a national team, football team. So we have the Black Asteroids for the esports.
Black Day Asteroids.
Yes.
That's
So
a fun name.
Right. So we have all that in the space. So we are pushing from all angles. And we have some Nigerians coming to the Accra Esports Week.
Yeah.
Because they know we are trying to lead and pound a new path in that space. So
yeah.
What I'm hoping though, oftentimes our brothers will
have the money.
They will leave us behind. I mean, it happened in cinema.
Yeah.
What's his name? Kwawansa and the rest. Today we are not on their level. They are doing Netflix and stuff, and we are still doing.
So that's
I don't want to mention.
We are happy that we have a partner like Multimedia to give scale to this whole event, so that people will know about it, and then sponsors can also come on board.
Right.
I want to talk about even the infrastructure. Our conversations is not just playing the video games.
Yes.
We're talking to stakeholders. We had a meeting with PAX about 2 weeks ago, which is the data centers. We've been pushing for servers in Africa and data centers in Africa. And where Ghana is situated, we are right in the middle of
strategic.
Strategic. So we say we want to be the gateway of esports in Africa, meaning that video games.
Careful, the Nigerians are listening.
They can't be listening to us, but they know that when we say Ghana, we want to make it happen. It happens because they are learning from us.
Yeah.
In fact, we consult for some of them. So
exactly. And
so
they organize tournaments here to take players to Nigeria to participate in some of them.
I mean, it's not a bad thing if Africa grows in this space, but I'm saying that we also ought to have some ownership as much as we can.
We
Definitely.
have to.
That is the reason why the Accra Esports Week is the first in Africa of any other country to
Let's talk about that. Accra Esports Week.
Right.
What is it? What can we expect in it? What is it?
You know, you hear about the New Year's school.
Yes.
This is our New Year's school.
Okay. That's a nice way of putting it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is the matter of every esports event. Yeah. So you will see that there is not only one title or game being played. There's variety. And anybody can plug in. That's the beauty of this event. Right. If you have your event, come and tell us, I want to host an esports event. We'll give you a space to have it. Yeah. And it's part of the... So this is going to be the biggest. And it's also going to be a collection of thought-provoking individuals coming to speak. Right. So we've lined up, international speakers that are sending in their esports messages.
What are some of the competitions we can look forward to, Kwesi?
We have for football, we have eFootball, we have FIFA. We have Mortal Kombat that you spoke of. We have
what are esports games without Mortal Kombat?
Oh yeah.
It means the thing don't happen.
Especially for Ghana. Look, Ghana go.
But we have a base though.
Yeah. Yes.
We have a base when it comes to Mortal Kombat.
And guess what? We even have a Chi movie in Mortal Kombat. That's how big. That is how big Ghana can go. When I told them, we were speaking to Nordrim, the producers, I told them, look, even in Ghana, if you want to write a whole storyline of Mortal Kombat, we have a whole generation of people who can talk about it.
Right.
Back in the days, you need to write the moves on paper and memorize it. Some even write it on the walls. That is how the history of video games that we have. You know it.
I remember playing Nintendo back then. You remember the handheld one, Mortal Kombat? Yes. And you would get to the Goro point and you have to, that's the final point, and you have to, all the moves were, when he was talking about that, people would actually, I had this friend, Alex, and he would actually map down the moves and learn them.
And that is smartness, right?
You brought back
we never thought
memories.
About video games being, now it is an adaptive skill development. Whilst I'm here, let me speak about it. Yeah. That the way of learning in curriculum in schools is changing.
It has changed. Not that it's not now changing. It has changed.
It has changed, yes. Yeah. And we want to show for that even within the educational setup, esports is basis for STEM education and STEAM education.
If you include the arts.
Yeah, so even in schools, one of our projects that we're doing, we're hoping to bring some schools to, inviting schools to bring their students to come to the Accra Esports. Come and just witness. It's not only about people playing games. There's a production, like this TV station production is going to be there, and there are people there, camera guys, editors, video editors, social media guys, handling a whole value chain of the ecosystem.
So this is like from A to Z, alpha to omega, crane to crank.
Yes.
12 games, 8 competitions.
12 games, 8 competitions.
And each game has a different broadcast system.
Right.
So
this just came to mind though. We're talking sports, yes, but do you do board games and other things as well?
Yes.
So
I'm being partial. I'm being biased here because I'm a sucker for Scrabble.
Right. So we have Scrabble. We can, but in the list of the games that we have, Karen, we don't have Scrabble.
I know.
We don't have chess. We don't have.
But is there a plan eventually to move on to migrate onto those as well?
Exactly. Yes. We're bringing all. It's going to be like a festival of games.
I
So
pray
we have
for that day.
So Owari will be on Wednesday during the African Games. So
Oh wow!
Owari.
You have Owari as well.
Yeah, we want to promote our own. So
definitely
there is even Dame.
Yes.
Okay.
So
in the draft
Yeah.
checkers. So we want to also build affinity with our traditional games, and also let the seniors know that it's not only about playing football, but there are games that they can have. They played. Even if you get Ampe, we'll put it in there.
That'll be an interesting one. But beyond these competitions, what other activities are you putting forward for those who would come and participate?
Yeah, so we have the demos. So we wear the VRs and try your hands on some of the games. And then we will have the seminars happening. You can network with friends. You can even get some free playing time so that you can play some of the games before the real competitions start. Yeah.
But let's talk about your target audience. I know definitely young people will be, because at a certain age, you are more inclined to this. But there's a lot more to what we are talking about.
Yeah. Right.
It's not restricted.
Yes.
So what is your target audience?
So we're looking at almost all the age brands, but it's deeper 18 to 35 years, the age band. So that is the core target. But we have 40-year-olds and above 40-year-olds who are playing games. Solid guys. Sim racing. We have one of the guys, sim racing guy, is about 43, 45 years. Very good, solid guy.
So I always tease. I was at a friend's yesterday, and I made mention of the fact that some of us are big babies in the sense that we still love games and we still love cartoons.
Yeah,
two elderly men, I am told, very grey head and all that, went into, back then when VCR was a thing, and they went to this video rental asking for videos. And, the lady there took them to the action segment and they said, no, we want cartoons. And she burst out laughing. And these were two men, well-dressed and all of that.
Right.
I am,
Oh, yeah, me, I still love cartoons.
We grow, but we are still very...
Yeah.
You cannot outgrow cartoons. Yeah, if you love it, you always love it.
So the target audience is, and it's not restricted, right?
It's
Anyone
not
can pass through.
Yeah, so you can pass through and then and play some of the games.
And our target is also the brands. We want corporate institutions.
And I was just about to ask about your partners, but since you started, yes.
So we have multimedia as partner. We have the Esports Association Ghana partner. We have Ghana Esports Federation. So that's the government.
There's a federation?
Yes. So newly formed. We launched very soon. We are so excited about that. Right, so we have that. We have Play Province, we have Otium, Seleti Arts, we have Play Arena, we have Esports Academy, we have Pop Out, and those are the Motherland Gaming.
Yeah.
So we have all of them as our partners. So it's quite exciting. The issue is that we want to spearhead the maiden edition.
Okay.
Normally when you are chasing sponsors, they'll think, oh, nice concept and the rest, but we want to proof of concept. We want to do it ourselves. We have the venue, we have the location, we own the community, and then the stakeholders. So we are going to show them that we can do it.
Yeah.
We're going to show them.
And there's a pot prize of 20,000.
20K.
20K.
Yes. Across.
20 Soko. That's in CDs.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I should come and compete. Am I allowed to come and compete?
That's the beauty of video games is that
registration is still
no
open.
Age.
So.
I know in Singapore there is an older age team.
Bracket,
There's a team that is actually old citizens, like senior citizens.
Okay.
Team. Yeah. Probably will send you.
And those are places where gaming is taken a lot more seriously.
Yes.
Way more seriously.
Wait the time. Instead of staying at home bored, you can play games.
And they played in big tournaments, win tournaments. They have their own merchandise. I'm like, wow.
20,000.
Yeah, but the beauty of the space is that it's not only even about the money. It's about the experience and the career pathways that are in there.
Yeah.
The value chain is big, but for us, it's creating the employment opportunities for the young people there. They say there's no job, but we say that this is the space that can create multi-billion-dollar industry for us in Ghana.
Yeah, and don't forget, we went to Bali, Indonesia, to represent Ghana. We were in Istanbul to also represent Ghana. The players were paid, fully paid trip and everything. It was a nice experience.
Talk of all this, though this is not, but it's also STEM, robotics, and the strides we've made. Our schools have been doing pretty well winning global awards and all of that. And it really piqued my interest recently when I heard of the fact that, Tokyo and other places in Japan, there's a bit of a reduction in labor force.
Right.
You know what they're using?
Robots on the streets.
The deliveries we do with delivering food, and they're using robots.
Yeah.
Robots.
Yes.
Right.
Maximus Agyekum. Robots are delivering.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the projects we're working on is called Flight for Kids, and one for
the bike
drones
riding.
and stuff like that. When you take drones, apart from the fact that you can use it to deliver stuff, right? There's a drone cinematography.
Yes.
That's a new space area. There's a drone photography. There's drone geographic mapping. These are areas that people who play
all
games
hinging on a drone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically.
Right.
Basically.
And now we are bringing a hybrid of traditional biking and then gaming, where you can bike, whilst you are biking, exercising the gym and the rest, you are competing with other people.
Across the world.
By the time you are done,
so you are reducing weight, but you're still also having fun, and so also getting rewarded.
And if you are the type that loves competitiveness,
right, so
you are achieving those ends as well.
At the same time.
The opportunities are limitless.
Right.
Definitely.
Final words, Maximus Agyekum. I've really enjoyed this, and I can only hope that we keep on that.
Yeah. So we are very excited that we have multimedia on board for the long haul, and we are going to blow this thing up and make Accra the esports hub. And people should come to the venue, Esports Academy in Hacho. You can Google it, and then you'll find your location there from direction there from Monday to Saturday. And then Tuesday we have Otium East Legon. You can also Google Otium. You can pass through a very beautiful place so that you can also go and play some of the games there.
Kwesi?
Well, for us, it's a message to Ghana. This is a wide open opportunity for us, for schools, for industries to really look at the trajectory of esports globally and begin to pivot it. My wish is that the government will start looking into it. I mean, it's not a rocket science. It's there. If the Saudis are really having a strategic plan for 30 years,
if the French have their whole presidents
spearheading, the Singaporeans already have spaces for even in the hospitality business and the tourism.
Yes.
And if we come and talk about tourism, I mean, we pride a lot about tourism. A lot of people come to Ghana, music, dance, but what if there is also another activity? We can even take our own tourism experience into a VR. That is money. Well, the ideas we can share, but some of them will keep it to...
But I love what you just said. So maybe you don't have to. You don't have to go to Paga, or you don't have to. You can be in Accra, yet virtually you experience Paga.
You can be in New York
or Kakum,
and experience Kakum and pay $5 for 1 minute.
The same thing with all the feel, the vibration.
So that is our tourism. You can be in New York and watch all the activities in Ghana and pay something small. And
you bust my brain small. Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's been a refreshing conversation. And we can only wish you the very best as you do this. Joining us for that conversation, Maximus Akakpo, Event Manager, Accra Esports Week. We also had Kwesi Hayford, President, Esports Association of Ghana. Well, do stay with us. We're taking a little break. When we return, I'm sure some of you would be excited, want to know, share your thoughts on this bit, and also about sports and what you expect in 2023. All that after the break. Hopefully you enjoyed that conversation about esports. As we wrap today on the show, how about we tell you about the Ghana Revenue Authority, which wishes to inform the public that persons wishing to apply for tax clearance certificates should do so online. It's been made easy. Go to taxpayersportal.com or download the Ghana Taxpayers app on the Google Play Store or the App Store. Applicants who visit our taxpayer service centers will be assisted by officers of the authority to apply. And applicants are also required to indicate the taxpayer identification number or TIN of the institution or organization requesting the certificate so that they can receive a copy. Applicants should take note and be guided accordingly. All you have to do to get the requisite information, reach out to the GRA on toll-free number 0800 900 110 or via WhatsApp number 0552 990 000 or 0200 631 664 or send an email to gra.gov.gh for further inquiries. Let's stay with the Ghana Revenue Authority. The authority also wishes to inform the general public, especially persons registered for value-added tax, that the Domestic Tax Revenue Division has commenced the implementation of an electronic invoicing system of VAT, referred to as EVAT. This involves integrating the invoicing systems of VAT-registered taxpayers to the Commissioner General's invoicing system. Kindly contact for more information GRA on toll-free number 0800 900 110 or via WhatsApp on 0552 990 000 or 0200 631 664 for further inquiries. It's been a pleasure coming your way today and, of course, through the span of the week. For those of you who have been asking, I know you would have wanted to call. Bernie Samuel Lanza will join me come next week. But from us to you, we're grateful. Have a lovely weekend. Let's connect again, same time on Monday. Up next, Joy News Desk. Do stay.